What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 16LF Chapter 191 The Supernova of the New Era is coming. Longyu Island. Nami and others were waiting on the shore early. Looking through the clouds, you can see two black spots slowly approaching from a distance. Needless to say, they also knew that Xia Luo must be back. They had received the notice before and Xia Luo had prepared a little surprise for them. Robin is still looking forward to this. Xia Luo went to fight Kaido of the Four Emperors, and among the information he had already obtained, there was news that Kaido had a read historical text. Now that Xia Luo has returned safely, the read historical text must have been obtained. She couldn't wait to study the newly acquired historical text. As the island approached, everyone saw Wanakuna's entire face, and Xia Luo slowly landed from the sky with the people. Master Xia Luo, you are not injured. Of course, BABY5 and Hancock's greetings were indispensable immediately after landing. The two groped around Xia Luo's body and breathed a sigh of relief after finding no injuries. Master Xia Luo, I am really worried about you. My strength can also help Master Xia Luo. You must bring me with you next time. Hancock leaned in Xia Luo's arms and said to him in a plaintive tone. Now she and BABY5 are like newlyweds, they will be separated soon after they get married. They don't want to bear the pain of missing her for a day. It's best to be by Xia Luo's side all the time. Well, I understand what you are thinking, Hancock. I will definitely bring you with me in future battles with Auntie and the others. Xia Luo smiled and nodded, stroking their long hair and comforting them. He is already familiar with Big Mom, and it is not difficult for the combat power of the members on the ship to compete with Big Mom's pirate group. Especially with the help of Nami and Karina, plus a thick deputy-level Hancock. They are more luxurious than ordinary members of the Imperial Regiment. In addition to top-end combat power, they also have more mid to high-end ones. Especially the good things brought back this time can help several people improve their abilities and reach a new level. The gentle Sir Xia Luo is so charming. For his comfort, BABY5 held his cheeks with both hands, his eyes were blurred, and he looked at Xia Luo blankly and murmured. This was also what Hancock was thinking at this time. To a certain extent, the two people's ideas have great similarities. That's awesome. Is this Mr. Xia Luo's crew? The little rabbit Garrett appeared from behind him and said excitedly. She looked at Nami and the others with curious eyes. But there was also a trace of doubt in her mind. Why are all Master Xia Luo's crew members female? It's indeed very powerful. I can feel it. There are several people whose strength should be no less than mine. Yamato, who was with Garrett, also showed an excited smile and said. Her attention is more focused on Hancock, Nami, Karina, Reiju and others. These people are the most powerful people on Xia Luo's ship. Who are you and what qualifications do you have to stand behind Mr. Xia Luo? Hancock looked arrogant and pointed at Yamato, showing her extremely contemptuous and arrogant attitude. My name is Yamato. I am the son of Kaido, and I will also be a crew member of Xia Luo in the future. Yamato didn't feel anything unnatural about Hancock's inquiry. She was very nervous and thought this was Hancock's normal way of communication. In fact, for these unfamiliar women, Hancock's communication method is indeed a normal communication method for her. What? Kaido's son? Nami and others shouted in shock. Xia Luo not only defeated Kaido, but also kidnapped Kaido's son aboard. However, they looked at the two big lumps on Yamato's chest in surprise, and there was a big question mark in their heads. They all fell into deep thought. What kind of novelty is this? My name is Garrett, and I am a fur tribe from the furry principality of Zou Island. Garrett also raised his hand and introduced himself energetically. Haha, are you a fur tribe? What a cute child. Where did you abduct him from, Xia Luo? Robin covered his mouth and smiled. He seemed to like Garrett very much. Garrett seems to have aroused Robin's motherly nature. From the first sight, he attracted Robin's attention and became very fond of him. Thank you seniors for your compliments. Garrett touched the back of her head in embarrassment, two blushes appeared on her face, and her mouth curved into a W shape involuntarily. He is indeed a cute child. Nami's eyes also lit up, and she arched her eyebrows in agreement. I really didn't expect it, Xia Luo. The tastes are getting more and more unique now, can't the mermaid satisfy you anymore? Your XP range is getting wider and wider, or is it this XP from the beginning? I'm looking down on you. Nami didn't know when he came to Xia Luo, bumped his stomach with his elbow, raised his eyebrows and joked. Garrett is different from ordinary people. She has animal characteristics and fur, but she is very cute. It's not a big problem, as long as it's cute enough. Xia Luo waved her hand and said nonchalantly. Are you serious? I was just joking. I didn't expect you to actually have such thoughts. I misjudged you. You are a beast. You have evil intentions for such an innocent child. Nami looked in disbelief and looked at him with contempt. She was just joking, but she didn't expect it to happen. Ahem. Xia Luo covered her mouth and coughed twice. HMPH, I'll settle the score with you later. Nami rolled her eyes at him, then turned to Gallet and introduced herself. Robin and the others also smiled and greeted him, It seems that they are really interested in this little rabbit Garrett. I am the princess of Wanokuni, Kazuki Hiyori. Please give me your advice. Kazuki Hiyori showed her posture as Yamato Nadeshiko and bowed to the girls. She has been silent since following Xia Luo to Longyu Island, just like a background board. When she saw the faces of Hancock and others, she was shocked. The beauty of these people is not inferior to hers, they even have different styles and have the beauty of their own fields. There was deep worry hidden in her eyes. The beauty that I am proud of can only be regarded as average here. I thought that with the addition of a Ren, I would have two stunning beauties here who could serve Xia Luo well, but I looked at the countless beauties on the opposite side. Whether they are young or old, they have the numerical advantage on their side. It's just a joke, so she showed her peaceful side and wanted to integrate into them as soon as possible. Princess? Everyone had weird looks in their eyes. Even the young Princess Shirahoshi looked at Xia Luo with a strange expression. The collecting habit of Princess Xia Luo lovers has been exposed. This is already the fifth one. Shirahoshi is no longer an innocent girl who knows nothing. With Nami and the others' teaching and popularization of science, Shirahoshi also understands many things, including the difference between men and women, and special XP. But just because of Shirahoshi's look, Xia Luo felt offended again. Xia Luo looked at Nami resentfully. Where's her innocent little Shirahoshi? She used to follow her and call her Oni-chan. I figured it out from my own mind. Now I actually learned to look at Oni-chan with such a contemptuous expression. Tisk tisk, give me back my pure white little Shirahoshi. It's all Nami's fault. It seems that I have indulged little Nami too much. I need to teach her a lesson tonight. It's useless whoever tries to break up the fight, and whoever tries to break up the fight will be in trouble. Xia Luo glared at Nami, who showed a disdainful expression. I'm looking to settle a score with you tonight. He turned his head, looked at Reiju and asked, Reiju, is there anything unusual on the island these days, or is there any new information? He only left for 3 or 4 days, whether it was long or short, but whoever wants him to make a big tree attracts the wind must first understand the situation. There are indeed many things. The news that the captain defeated Kaido has spread all over the sea. Everyone on the sea believes that you are most likely the new pirate king. There are many people who want to join you, and there are also many people who are peeping at your throne. I want to be famous for defeating you, so it also brings a lot of trouble. Reiju crossed his arms and said jokingly. Haha, just deal with those guys who can't recognize themselves. Xia Luo sneered. For these people who had no self-awareness, he would often give them a ticket to hell. It's been solved. Most of these people are pirates who have just entered the New World. They haven't recognized their status yet. Those old fritters who hang out in the New World don't dare to provoke us. Reiju replied with a smile on his face. Behind her friendly smile is bloody killing, and she doesn't care about these challenges. The provocateur's life. By the way, there is something going on with the Revolutionary Army. The leader of the Revolutionary Army, Monkey D. Dragon, wants to meet and talk to you face to face. Just yesterday, they called after the news that you defeated Kaido spread all over the sea. There is also a little guy who joined our pirate group before and wants to meet you. Reiju seemed to remember something and told Xia Luo. The little pirate who joined us before. Interesting, who is it? Xia Luo said in surprise. The little guy who caught Reiju's attention must have something special about him. Xia Luo was also curious about what kind of guy he was. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. He is one of this year's pirate supernovas. Supernova. Xia Luo was stunned. It was a word she hadn't heard in a long time. Once upon a time, he and Ace were also known as East Blue supernovas. Unknowingly, 1,000 years have passed and Xia Luo has become the new 4 emperors. Ace also survived the Summit War and became one of the leaders of the remnants of the Whitebeard pirates. Well, it's the 200 million bounty Trafalgar Law. Reiju nodded and said. As soon as this name came out, Xia Luo became interested. This is about one of the protagonists who will be involved in various major events 2 years later. 2 years later, he will be strengthened at an epic level, with a D in his name. Full name, Trafalgar D. Waterlaw. Anyone who has anything to do with D has a special meaning. However, Xia Luo still doesn't like the opponent's current strength, but his fruit ability is indeed unique in the world. One of the most special Paramecia devil fruit, Op fruit, the Op fruit that reaches the awakened state can perform the immortality surgery that can make people immortal. Unfortunately, the immortality surgery can only be performed once, and the person with the fruit ability will die after it is performed. Ageless surgery is very tempting, but for Xia Luo, it is not as attractive as pure gold. Because pure gold can be carried by multiple people, the immortality surgery can only be performed on this one person. He also had some speculation about Trafalgar Law's desire to see him. .00 It's nothing more than Doflamingo's thing. I guess I saw that I tortured Doflamingo in Summit War, so I got some ideas and wanted to borrow it for myself. Use your own hands to help eradicate Doflamingo. Interesting. Xia Luo is lifeless. This is the world of pirates. Those who join Xia Luo have their own purposes. Most people want to board the big ship Xia Luo and get the title of a Pirate King crew member. And Luo wants to eliminate Doflamingo. But what price will he pay? Will he use his own life to practice the immortality surgery? He is very curious. The direction of this world is deviating more and more from its original path. From the moment Kaido was defeated, time seemed to speed up. Originally, the world line in Summit War was still being concluded. Luffy lost the branch line of Hancock and took Sabo to rescue Ace. The original ending was supposed to be Ace's death. Ace also survived because of Xia Luo's appearance and the fairy beans he gave Whitebeard. "Come on, help me make arrangements to meet this little guy," Xia Luo said with great interest, taking the lead and walking towards his palace, with the girls following him. "Haha, I knew you would be interested. You will probably be even more interested when you know his abilities," Reiju also said with a chuckle, and showed a mysterious smile when talking about Luo's abilities. It was probably Luo who revealed to him the power of his ageless surgery. She thought this would bring a little surprise to Xia Luo. Little did he know that Xia Luo had already known the opponent's fruit ability. "By the way, Robin, you have been looking forward to this for a long time." 11. Xia Luo seemed to have remembered something, and then took out several rubbings of historical texts from the storage space. These two copies are red historical texts, but one of them should be the same as the text we got back from Whitebeard. He couldn't understand the text on it, but it felt very similar to the text he had taken from Whitebeard before. Robin took the rubbing text handed over by Xia Luo with a look of joy on his face, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. She looked at the text that Xia Luo mentioned, and after confirming the text above, she felt a little regretful. It is indeed the same content as the previous rubbing text, but there are so many other ordinary ones. And one day Xia Luo will also collect all the historical texts, so she is not in a hurry. "Thank you, Captain. Moi, this is your reward." 1. Robin came forward and pressed a kiss on Xia Luo's cheek, then winked playfully and winked at him. The charm of a mature woman perfectly blends with her behavior, adding a bit of playful flavor. 013903224 Philu 193,132,220. "Is that all?" Xia Luo said with a dissatisfied expression. "What kind of reward is this kind of reward that can't even eat meat? Haha. Come to my room tonight, I can grant you any request. Any request." Seeing this, Luo Mi covered her mouth and chuckled, then slowly moved closer to Xia Luo's ear and whispered softly. At the same time, her face was rosy, her eyes were blurred, and the charm of a mature woman struck her face. Chapter 192 I like to say no to self-righteous people. Hearing this, Xia Luo raised his eyebrows. Looks like I'll be able to unlock something new again tonight. Xia Luo nodded calmly. Then he took out many gold, silver, jewelry and other luxury items from the space. Wow, Nami and Karina's eyes immediately turned into section shapes, focusing on the treasures that Xia Luo took out. These treasures are all collected by Wanokuni Kurozumi, and there are many treasures that only Wanokuni possesses. It's not like Nami and Karina have never seen treasure before. They themselves possess a lot of treasures, all of which were brought to them by Xia Luo. This appearance appears only because of their habits and instincts. Even though their strength has become stronger, the characters of Nami and Karina have not changed. They are still a little greedy for money. That's why the money-obsessed eyes show up as soon as the treasure appears. By the way, because I didn't find anything else suitable, I found a lot of beautiful clothes for you. Xia Luo said with a smile, and then took out many exquisite clothes from the space. Of course, there are some very special ones inside. Xia Luo picked up a special cheongsam and made uniform and handed them to Hancock respectively. And BABY5. Is this for me? Honey. Hancock almost didn't show any love at all, he held his little face and said shyly. Although her relationship with Xia Luo broke through, she still looks like a girl in love. Hancock took the cheongsam, which was slit almost to the waist, and held it in front of his chest. If Darling wants to see me wearing this type of clothes, I will also obey Qian Lang's order. Baby 5 also took over this unusually revealing and sexy maid outfit, with a 743 satisfied smile on her face. Younger girls like Kaya and Vivi blushed with embarrassment. Looking at the clothes that the two people took over, they were very shy, and at the same time they were looking forward to what kind of clothes Xia Luo would prepare for themselves. But it's best not to wear clothes that make them too shy. It's better to only wear this kind of clothes in front of me. Men outside will be jealous if they see me. Unlocking new costumes is also a spur-of-the-moment hobby of Xia Luo. Watching these beauties on his ship unlock different costumes makes him very excited. Although he dislikes Wanokuni very much, he was very moved when watching the original work when Nami, Robin, Garrett and others put on Wanokuni's costumes to show different beauties. I will never let other men appreciate my beauty. Everything about me belongs to me, dear. If it is Darling's order, I will not refuse. After hearing Xia Luo's words, Hancock and BABY5 could no longer restrain their love, and threw themselves directly into Xia Luo's arms and kept rubbing them. Xia Luo also had a gentle smile on her face, stroking their soft hair. A trace of envy flashed in the eyes of Kazuki Hiyori, who was following him. She could clearly sense Xia Luo's love for these women without a trace of pretense. He really likes these women, and that's why she is so envious. A kind of loneliness and loss appeared in her eyes, and this gesture was keenly noticed by Nami. At the same time, Nami was also very confused. Although Xia Luo is a bastard, he usually treats his women well and will not force her directly. Otherwise, Robin would have been obtained by him long ago, and there would be no agreement to find the red historical text. There are also some women on the boat that Xia Luo has not yet succeeded in, and Xia Luo will only take action with their own consent. Except for Xia Lulia Palace, who was captured, but the other party is now the willing party, and is completely given to sleeping clothes by Xia Luo. So why does Kazuki Hiyori look so lonely and lost? Is it because of the helplessness of being forcibly pulled onto the ship by Xia Luo? Nami silently kept it in mind and asked Xia Luo what happened to Kazuki Hiyori later. The girls quarreled for a while, and everyone chose what they liked. The mermaid girls are particularly curious about these clothes and items. This is because they have little contact with the outside world. After a long time, Reiju led a man to Xia Luo. The opponent was wearing a yellow casual long-sleeved shirt with his own pirate flag printed on it, and a furry winter hat with leopard Madara dots on his head. The eyes have particularly personalized dark bags. There is no need to identify yourself. Xia Luo can tell at a glance that the other person is Trafalgar Law just by looking at his characteristics. Xia Luo held up her right face with her right hand and looked at Trafalgar Law with interest. He is still very interested in Luo. Not because of the opponent's op fruit, but because of his medical skills. He did not dare to underestimate the medical staff in the pirate world. Every guy with superb medical skills had the ability to research some strange things. For example, Indigo, who was originally on the Golden Lion ship, was very good at studying organisms. Quinn is also the ship's doctor of the Beast's pirates. He also has extraordinary research capabilities and has developed various strange viruses, including ice ghosts and other T-virus-like things. As the captain and doctor of their ship, Trafalgar Law has superb medical and surgical skills. It should not be difficult for him to research some things. Not long after Xia Luo obtained the perfect upgraded T-virus, now there is another op fruit ability user. So he had other thoughts. Originally, he didn't plan to let them study the T-virus because it was not safe. But now there is Luo's op fruit, plus Geisa, Judge, Indigo, these top technology and biology players in the pirate world. I want to try to clone this perfect upgraded T-virus. The reason is naturally that he wants everyone on his ship to be able to use it and break the upper limit of human beings. It's not easy to meet you, the new 4 emperors. No, now it's the 3 emperors, Golden Lion to Xia Luo. Luo held the knife in one hand and pulled the brim of his hat with the other hand while quietly observing the situation here 10 times. All of them are women. Moreover, these women are not simple, many of them can give him a strong sense of oppression. There is no doubt that these people are strong. Especially when he saw the pirate empress Boa Hancock, Luo's pupils shrank suddenly. Was he even able to win the pirate empress onto his ship? Looking at this relationship, it seems he is truly an extraordinary man. Luo sighed secretly in his heart. When his vision turned to Baby 5 on the other side of Xia Luo, he frowned again. Baby 5 is an old acquaintance of his. He used to belong to the same group as him. A member of the Flamenco family, now also joins Xia Luo's pirate ship. Coupled with the information obtained through inquiring, and the controlled Dressrosa, the fairy country called Love and Passion. He was convinced that Doflamingo and Xia Luo had a deadly feud, and that Doflamingo was unilateral. Xia Luo's side is more like having fun. Because of the agreement with Princess Violet of Dressrosa, she took action to destroy the Don Quixote family, and then directly brought the islands back. Ah, Luo, it's you. Only then did BABY5 react when he heard the sound. After looking carefully for a while, he suddenly realized that the person below was actually an old acquaintance of his childhood. This stupid woman. Luo pulled the brim of his hat again, completely covering his eyes. I have been standing here for so long, and the other party didn't pay attention at all, right? When my aura increased, I interrupted again. I heard that you have something to do with me. I'm curious, why do you think you have enough to impress me? Xia Luo held BABY5's soft hair again, interrupting what she wanted to say. With my op fruit. After hearing Xia Luo's inquiry, Luo raised his head and looked directly at Xia Luo, not frightened because the other party was the overlord of New World. Spit. That immortality surgery that claims to make people immortal. That's right. Although you are still very young now, the immortality surgery that can make people live forever can keep you in this peak state. I know that with your level of strength, there is nothing you can't get, but you can't get eternal life just by relying on your strength. Trafalgar Law said firmly. He concluded that his condition must be tempting to Xia Luo. No one does not want eternal life, and this desire can even be ranked above money and power. Although the Xia Luo in front of him is younger than him, he should also understand what eternal life means. Ha 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 ha. Since you mentioned that there is nothing I can't achieve with my level of strength, then why do you think I can't achieve immortality by means other than immortality surgery? Regarding Luo's very confident words, Xia Luo laughed loudly at first, looked at him with interest, and said in a deep voice. If you want to kill me and find op fruit again, it's not easy to find someone to perform immortality surgery on you. This sea is very vast. It's hard to find someone. It may take 10 or even decades to reach a specific fruit. Quote. Luo still had that confident expression. Finding devil fruit in this vast sea requires very good luck, let alone finding a specific fruit. I don't need to look for it at all. As long as I kill you, I can get your fruit. A fruit suddenly appeared in Xia Luo's hand. The fruit had strange spider web-like cracks. Judging from these patterns, it was clear that it was a devil fruit. This is Whitebeard's shock fruit. I got it from his corpse. It was also my harvest in the Summit War. Bringing it to my door is like bringing the fruit to my mouth. Now do you think I can still do it? Can't find it. Ding. Hearing this, Trafalgar Law's heart skipped a beat. He couldn't believe what Xia Luo said was actually true. No one had ever been able to obtain the devil fruit directly from the previous fruit user. He thought the fruit in Xia Luo's hand was just an ordinary devil fruit, but he saw Xia Luo's playful eyes and his confident words just now. Instinct told him that what Xia Luo said was true. Even so, using op fruit requires qualifications and the surgical fruit needs to be. It can only be used after it has been developed to a certain level. You also need to find someone with the qualifications to perform the immortality surgery for you. It is also very troublesome and will be a waste of time. In this case, wouldn't it be faster to reach a cooperation with me and I will perform the immortality surgery for you afterwards? Luo panicked a little, waved his hand, and spoke with some excitement. He was full of confidence when he first came, but he didn't expect that Xia Luo didn't play according to the routine, and it didn't take long for him to be hit repeatedly. One of my favorite things to do is say no to self-righteous people. Suddenly, Xia Luo's painting style suddenly changed, her expression became serious, and her facial lines became three-dimensional. What a joke. Luo suddenly shouted angrily, his forehead had blue veins popping out, and his face was ferocious. I didn't come here just to be slaughtered by others. Since we can't reach an agreement, I won't just let you go. Even if you are the newly promoted overlord of the new world. Trafalgar Law drew his sword and pointed it at Xia Luo, with an unyielding look on his face, and shouted through gritted teeth. Suddenly, the eyes of all the women around Xia Luo changed. Especially Hancock, everyone else was vigilant and serious. Hancock had a dark face and veins protruding from her forehead and the back of her hands. It seemed that Luo in front of him would be strangled to death in the next second. Xia Luo let go of the two women in his arms, and then slowly stood up. Luo felt a strong sense of oppression coming towards his face, and the hand holding the knife trembled slightly. Damn it, just standing in front of him is a bit unbearable. Who can fight such a monster? 1. Stop it. Hands. Luo roared in his heart. But the hand holding the sword still couldn't help trembling, no matter how he controlled it. Because this is the instinct from the body, he is afraid of Xia Luo, afraid instinctively. Suddenly, Xia Luo lost his momentum. Luo felt that all the pressure on him just now was gone, and a wave of 4.2 came through his body to calm him down. Ha 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 ha, tell me your conditions. Xia Luo changed from the serious Haki look just now and said with a chuckle. Forehead. Luo looked stunned. What is going on? I was so tense just now, why suddenly? Could it be that Xia Luo is playing tricks on me? I want to become stronger. Luo did not let down his guard and still held the knife in his hand, but he was not pointing it at Xia Luo. Want to become stronger? I thought you wanted me to help you get rid of Doflamingo. To read Jing Shuang's novels, go to Filu Novel Network. Xia Luo said with a somewhat surprised expression. How do you know? Luo was stunned for a moment, wondering why Xia Luo knew that he and Doflamingo had a grudge, but when he saw BABY5, he understood and stopped talking. I agree to your request to become stronger, and I don't need you to perform the immortality surgery, but you need to work for me. What? Don't you want ageless surgery? Why? Even if you are strong, you will grow old slowly. 013903224 Filu 193,132,420. He was very happy that Xia Luo agreed to his request, but the fact that the other party did not want eternal life was beyond his expectation. At the same time, a doubt also emerged in his mind. I always feel that Xia Luo's approach of downgrading the originally generous harvest and voluntarily receiving the goods at a low price is wrong. Could it be that Xia Luo is attracted to me? Luo broke into a cold sweat in his heart, thinking of Blackbeard from Summit War. No, this is impossible. But seeing all kinds of beauties beside him, Luo shook his head and denied his idea. This sea is wider than you want to understand, and it is also more mysterious. Immortality is not only achieved through surgery. Chapter 193. Monster Concentration Camp, Xia Luo's Science and Technology Class. Indeed, there are many legends on the sea, including those that can make people live forever, but in the end no one can confirm the authenticity of those rumors. So far, all I know is that the op fruit ability can make people immortal, but the price does require the life of the caster. You can help me become stronger and take revenge without using ageless surgery. This is considered a profit for me, but I am also very confused. Have you mastered some kind of technology that makes people immortal? After Luo's eye was silent for a while, he slowly spoke. This was his guess based on what Xia Luo just said, but he was basically certain. This scared him a bit. Xia Luo actually mastered the means of immortality besides the ageless surgery. No wonder he looked down on op fruit. Who knows? But your op fruit is very useful for what I want to research. As you said, it is very troublesome to find the right people to use op fruit in development. You are very talented, so you just need to help me study me and I will be able to fulfill your wishes. Xia Luo shrugged and looked at him intriguingly. He did not admit or deny that he had other means of eternal life. Because he will get pure gold sooner or later, but the time has not come yet. But it's true what he said about Luo's talent. Luo Nang developed op fruit to the point of awakening in 2 years. This talent is definitely one of the 3 best op fruit adapters. Even if he takes off the fruit power and gives it to Kaya, he can't guarantee that Kaya can develop the fruit power to the state of awakening. It's always good to have more subordinates, and maybe Luo can bring him some surprises. I'm just a doctor. I don't know anything about researching this kind of thing. I don't know how my ability can help you. Luo spread his hands and said helplessly. He is really just a doctor, and it is too difficult for him to do scientific research. Don't worry, I will arrange these things myself. Xia Luo pressed her hand to reassure him. Luo doesn't know how to study anything now, he only has a talent for medicine. But this kind of talent can generally be mastered only after some study. He has several top scientific researchers under his command, plus Indigo, a genius biologist. 24. Coupled with Luo op fruit's natural advantages, he believed that it would not take long for the opponent to master these techniques. Come with me, it just so happens that I also need to go to Punk Hazard. After saying that, Xia Luo walked over slowly. At this time, the half-marginal peacock's eyes suddenly lit up. Sir Xia Luo, I also want to visit Punk Hazard, can you take me with you? Peacock said coquettishly in a delicate voice. She had been listening just now, and was a little surprised when she heard Xia Luo and Luo talking about eternal life, but Luo's guess later made her even more shocked. Eternal life. This is such an unreachable word, but it seems to be within easy reach in the 2 people's mouths. One has the ability to carry out development, and the other is suspected of mastering some kind of technology, which makes her more and more afraid of Xia Luo. Now Xia Luo suddenly proposed to go to Punk Hazard. This is one of the few opportunities to explore there. She wanted to know whether Xia Luo was really researching immortality and what stage the research results had reached. Punk Hazard is normally off limits and only the original members of Xia Luo can go. But generally no one is interested there except Reiju and Kaya. In addition, there are many guards in Punk Hazard, so it is impossible to sneak into it. Risky exploration may alarm the people here, and may lead to suspicion. If you can follow Xia Luo this time, you will definitely learn a lot of secrets there. What exactly is Xia Luo studying? A group of scientists are studying what looks good in things. You'd better choose your clothes first and wait until I pamper you tonight. Xia Luo smiled and played with the hair on her chest, and then whispered in her ear. He didn't mind Peacock reporting some information back to Marine, but there were some things he didn't want Marine to know. For example, in the case of Punk Hazard, the research inside is very important, and now is not the time to make it public. This guy just wants to take advantage, but he really doesn't leave me any chance. Peacock secretly gritted his teeth and said in his heart. But she had no choice but to continue to pester Xia Luo shamelessly, which would probably make him feel disgusted. At this time, you still have to put it aside first. In this case, we can only improve our status on Xia Luo's side first. So she took her little sisters to choose among the clothes Xia Luo brought back, trying to choose clothes that could arouse Xia Luo's interest. Fortunately, I can blow some air next to Xia Luo's pillow tonight, if he is still awake. Xia Luo also smiled softly. This peacock really has a lot on his mind, but it doesn't matter, he can still cope with it. World government had better send a few more people over, especially the characters who appeared in the original work. It's a pity that he has already met some people, and it is impossible for the world government to send them out again. It is unlikely that a popular female marine vice admiral like Momosugi will perform an undercover mission, because almost everyone in the new world recognizes her. The risk of exposure is too great. Let's go, Xia Luo said to Luo and then walked out. When he got outside, he blew a loud whistle, and Silver immediately heard it and flew over, holding the Kurozumi snake in his hand. At this time, Kurozumi was awake, but panicked. When he woke up, Wanokuni ascended directly to heaven. How could he not be frightened in such a strange environment? He didn't know what he was going to face next. Now he just wanted to please Xia Luo as much as possible so that he could spare his life. And he was still blaming Kaido in his heart for being so weak that he couldn't even protect Wanokuni, which made him talk nonsense before. Xia Luo picked up Luo like a little chicken and jumped on Xiao Yin's back. As soon as I came up, I heard Kurozumi begging for mercy. Xia Luo frowned and continued to knock him out with conquerors. Young people are good, they can fall asleep when they fall down. Without the annoying voice of Kurozumi, Xia Luo felt much better. Soon, Xia Luo brought Luo to the laboratory. Oh, Mr. Xia Luo, you didn't say anything before you came. There is nothing prepared here. Guy rubbed his little hands and said to Xia Luo with a flattering look on his face. Tisk, tisk, what a stupid look that is, it's really ugly, Guy. Seeing him like this, Judge laughed at Guy from the side. I want you to take care of it. Guy retorted angrily. He now turned into a white triangular eye and hit Judge on the forehead. The two of them stared at each other angrily.
Xia Luo is his gold master, who can he please? He doesn't care that Judge's daughter is now Xia Luo's woman. He and Judge are old enemies, and he won't give in when things like this happen, and he often loses his mind like this. During the experiment, they were tacit partners, but when not in the experiment, they were old enemies who didn't like each other. Okay, let's get some treasure. Xia Luo interrupted the tit-for-tat conversation between the two. If they don't stop it, the two of them will probably kiss each other with their faces next to each other. It's Mr. Xia Luo. As soon as Xia Luo opened his mouth, Guy made another 180-degree change, holding his hands in front of his chest with a naive smile. However, Guy's face is really not suitable for smiling. Although it is kind of ugly and cute, Xia Luo feels too stupid. His name is Trafalgar Law and he will be a new member of your laboratory from now on. You are responsible for teaching him some research knowledge and letting him assist your research and development progress.
Xia Luo put Luo down. The latter stood up, patted the few dust on his body, and pulled up the brim of his hat. Hello, my name is Trafalgar Law and I am a newcomer to the pirate group. Luo introduced himself very shyly, with a blush on his face. The way Xia Luo led people just now was really too embarrassing.
He was a great pirate captain who was brought over like a pet cat being pinched by the back of the neck.
Newcomer? Well, Sir Xia Luo, the research progress is at a critical stage now. We don't seem to have much time to teach newcomers. Guy's face looked a little embarrassed, and his initially flattering smile also furrowed his eyebrows, turning into a look that didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He couldn't refuse directly, so he could only mention the progress on his side cautiously, letting Xia Luo know that he didn't have much time to teach newcomers now. He is a doctor, and he should focus on biological knowledge in the future. Let Indigo teach him, but you also need to teach him some knowledge. Luo will be a great help in future research capabilities, and his abilities are very suitable for research with you. Xia Luo nodded, letting them relax. Indigo is the one that mainly attacks creatures. Although Judge and Geisa are also involved, they are not as good as Grandmaster. But other knowledge is also more advanced than Indigo's Grandmaster. If you want to develop green blood like Vegapunk, Luo's ability is an indispensable help. Fruit ability. Guy rubbed his chin and looked at Konami with doubtful eyes. This little guy has some magical fruit ability that can make him. The Gold Master Baba is so optimistic about it. Room. Luo lowered his head, and a circle of energy emerged from his left hand. Call out. At some point, Luo had already drawn his sword. Geisa was looking at Luo across from him like this, but suddenly, he felt that his sight seemed to be a little crooked. He looked down doubtfully. Guy opened his mouth wide, his tongue popped out, and his eyes bulged out. His lower body actually turned into two halves, but strangely, there was no trace of blood. This. What kind of ability is this? Geisa shouted in surprise. It could be seen that his expression was very panicked. However, he completely forgot that he was a user with the ability of Logia Devil Fruit. Generally, attacks without Haki cannot harm him at all. In addition, seeing his body being cut in two, everyone felt a little shocked. Frightened, however, he also calmed down after he recovered. You are so rude. You cut your senior into two pieces as soon as you came up. Geisa raised his two fists, approached Luo, and shouted angrily. Haha, isn't this great? It allows you to truly feel Luo's own abilities.
Xia Luo chuckled and said, yes, Mr. Xia Luo is still thoughtful. As soon as Xia Luo opened her mouth, Geisa immediately changed her attitude, smiling and trying to please her the whole time. Indigo, I'll leave Luo to you. Is there any problem? Xia Luo turned to look at Indigo. The latter immediately made several gestures, using these weird gestures and postures to express his consciousness. What's this? A drop of cold sweat ran down Luo's forehead. Who are these people? Why do they feel so strange? Isn't it possible that I entered 587 or some weird concentration camp? Well, that's fine. Xia Luo just watched Indigo's performance quietly, and nodded in response after he finished his performance. Can you understand me? Geisa, Judge, and even Indig looked at Xia Luo in shock. Luo was also secretly shocked. He was already sweating profusely. Not only are the people here weird, but he now feels that Xia Luo is also a weirdo, so he can understand the weird people's language.
But, having said that, isn't this guy able to talk? Why should he use movements to express his meaning? Luo thought doubtfully. So you can speak? The next second, Geisa and Judge looked at Indigo with shocked expressions. This kind of small theater has been performed many times. But maybe people in the pirate world have hidden funny attributes, which makes them subconsciously cooperate with another person's weird behavior. Besides Luo, I also brought you two good things. Xia Luo motioned to Xiao Yin to throw the Kurozumi snake in his hand. Even after Xiao Yin's size shrunk.
You can enter the laboratory. It has the same abilities as Xia Luo, so it is not difficult to reduce its size. This guy is a user with the ability of the Phantom Beast Devil Fruit, and his Devil Fruit ability gave him 8 lives, but 1 is missing. Now he still has 7. This is test materials for you, you're welcome. Quote. What? Demon Fruit Power. Upon hearing this, the three of them immediately moved forward excitedly. Their eyes seemed to be glowing green, and they wanted to immediately dissect the body and analyze it. They haven't studied the body of demon fruit power yet. Katarina Depin's phantom beast species is the nine-tails fox, and it is still tied up to draw blood, but she does not have strong physical fitness for them to study it. The Kurozumi snake in front of me was different. He was very excited when he heard that he had 8 lives. If we have the body of a person with this kind of phantom beast ability for us to study, we can definitely greatly increase the success rate of green blood. Guy assuredly patted his chest and assured. As I said before, Luo's abilities are very suitable for studying with you.
Not only Kurozumi Orochi, but also Katarina Depon, and Blackbeard's body, you can all study it. What does the big snake matter? The most important thing is Blackbeard's body. The other party withstood the power of 2 devil fruits with this weird body, and unlike ordinary people, he did not need to sleep. Isn't this more valuable than the Kurozumi Orochi?
After Xia Luo's reminder, the 3 of them suddenly realized that no wonder they would personally bring Luo over to make arrangements for them. Now they look at Luo much more pleasingly. Chapter 194. Research on World Destruction. Kid, I didn't expect you to have such a special role. Originally I didn't really want to teach a kid like you who knows nothing, but for the sake of Mr. Xia Luo, I will teach you 1/10,000th of my level of technology. Who makes me the number 1 here? As for the scientists. Guy acted like I'm covering you, with an arrogant and confident smile on his face, and pointed at himself with a thumbs-up gesture. Of course, the title of the first scientist was given to himself by himself. At this time, the judge next to him was naturally unhappy and said with a disdainful expression. How dare you call yourself the number 1 scientist with your 3-legged cat skills? Stop laughing so hard. What did you say? Do you want to fight? Who is afraid of whom? Your weak body probably can't even withstand 2 punches from me. The 2 returned to their previous appearance, bumping heads and looking directly into each other's eyes. A flash of lightning seemed to appear in the middle of their sights, and the air was filled with the smell of gunpowder.
In terms of technology, they obey no one. Although a preliminary reconciliation was reached when they first met on Longyu Island, no one would give in on this aspect. A drop of cold sweat flowed from Luo's forehead, with a speechless expression on his face. Are these 2 people really reliable? He looked at Indigo, who was dressed as a clown on the other side. The other party looked excitedly at the tit-for-tat confrontation between Geisa and Judge. He seemed to be used to it, and he was completely in the form of a fun-loving person who didn't take things too seriously.
Kid, who do you want to choose to be your father? The 2 people in the quarrel raised the question to Luo Fan. The 2 men looked at Luo menacingly and with threatening eyes, which frightened the latter and took 2 steps back. Big drops of cold sweat slipped from his forehead. I'll choose Indigo, who was assigned to me by head Xia Luo from the beginning, as my teacher. Luo looked at Xia Luo for help, but the other person looked at the sky and the earth in the laboratory and did not notice Luo's embarrassing situation at all. In desperation, he could only choose Indigo, who was in human form next to him, to help block the gunfire. Snort. Obviously, this choice made neither of them very satisfied. They even wanted Luo to choose them so that they could mock the other party severely. But since Luo has also moved out Xia Luo, let's let it go for the time being.
Dong dong dong. Indigo looked very happy and kept dancing and performing, trying to make Luo understand. I know you are very happy, but can you express it in words? Luo said with a speechless expression. It wasn't that he suddenly understood Indigo's movements, but the other party always had a smiling face and his movements were exaggerated, so he took a guess. Indigo stayed there for a while. Good, then he spoke. His words made Luo even more speechless. The treasure hunting time is over. Xia Luo clapped her hands to stop their play, and also attracted their attention. He took out a tube of liquid and placed it in front of the 4 people.
What is this? The trio from the science and technology class all looked at it with doubtful eyes. From the outside, it seems to be a liquid, but its specific use cannot be guessed based on this alone. Master Xia Luo, what is this? This is another thing I told you before. This is a virus. Virus. Hearing this, Guy's eyes lit up. When it comes to viruses, he is the most authoritative here. He used gas to make a variety of virus weapons. Well, it's a virus, but it's not a virus in the traditional sense. Xia Luo nodded in response. Does the young master want us to research and create this virus? Indigo asked doubtfully. He also dabbled in viruses. After all, he was a doctor. Even if he didn't care much about such things, he would have made some accidental experiments. Well, that's true. Leave it to me, Mr. Xia Luo. I am the best at viruses. I guarantee that I can make them for you soon. But, there are a lot of things to research now. Do we need funding?
Guy patted his chest, then showed a lewd smile and made a golden gesture. Nami has also shown such a greedy smile, but Nami has good looks, so even this will not feel inconsistent. But when it comes to Geisa, it can only be described as the most obscene of obscenities. As for the money, just tell Reiju later. Very good.
Guy smiled happily. This money is all my research funds. It has nothing to do with you two. Guy proudly showed off to Judge and Indigo. Guy, don't laugh too complacently first. Xia Luo interrupted Guy's proud expression. Are you worried, Mr. Xia Luo? No problem. I have studied many kinds of viruses, and just one virus is not a problem at all. Guy thought Xia Luo didn't believe him, so he patted his chest and promised confidently. Unexpectedly, Xia Luo shook her head, which shocked Gaisa even more. Then he showed a stubborn look and wanted to prove to Xia Luo immediately that he could easily do it by himself.
This virus is not the one you have been exposed to before. If you are not careful, it may cause the end of the world. Xia Luo explained with a serious look. The end of the world. Several people showed shocked expressions. Guy, on the other hand, looked excited. A virus that can cause the end of the world, what a powerful virus it is. Later, Xia Luo explained to them the role of the T-virus. This is a virus that allows humans to push their limits. It can also be regarded as a kind of medicine. This virus is called the T-virus. Now this is the most perfect T-virus. As long as you use it, you can gain an ability called telekinesis. The upper limit of this ability is very high. The higher the mental level is developed, the higher the intensity of the ability. It's like devil fruit without side effects. As I said at the beginning, the most important thing about this medicine is to break the limits of the human body, make the body stronger, and strengthen the human genes to a certain extent, which can make people stronger. Xia Luo first explained the benefits of the T-virus. Does devil fruit have the ability to have no side effects? Interesting. Obviously, Xia Luo's words have attracted the interest of 3 scientists. What they are currently studying is devil fruit. Xia Luo took out another potion that can obtain abilities similar to devil fruit. Just looking at these 2 effects, this thing can be regarded as a stronger virus.
But why did Xia Luo say that this virus has the ability to destroy the world? The 4 of them were very puzzled. Well, just looking at its effects, this perfect T-virus is indeed a powerful medicine. But, speaking of this, Xia Luo's expression became more serious. Everyone also felt Xia Luo's serious atmosphere, and fell silent one after another, listening to his explanation attentively. This is an ability only possessed by this perfect T-virus. If you want to study next, you will develop 10 kinds of T-virus that are not perfect. That virus is the most dangerous. Everyone was stunned. They must be studying a T-virus that is not perfect. What does this mean? If it's not perfect, it's not perfect. With the ability of this virus, imperfection can also make ordinary people stronger, right? After all, the effect of this virus is to enhance human physique and develop 3. A special ability. And why did Xia Luo conclude that there must be an imperfect T-virus? Has he ever seen an imperfect one?
Master Xia Luo, where did you get this virus? I have never heard of such a power-enhancing virus. If there is such a virus, it means you have a channel, right? Have you ever seen imperfect state T-virus? Gaisa asked doubtfully. His question was also a question for everyone else. Everyone looked at Xia Luo, waiting for what he would say next. Yes, I have indeed seen the power of this imperfect T-virus, but you don't need to know how to obtain it. I can only provide you with this virus.
Xia Luo nodded and admitted. The imperfect T-virus also has the effect I mentioned before. However, only special people can withstand this virus. Those who cannot bear it will turn into monsters. Monster. Everyone exclaimed in confusion. I see, this is what Xia Luo said is a side effect that can destroy the world, right? But simple monsters will destroy the world. Does Xia Luo underestimate the strong people in this world? Yes, this is no ordinary monster. People who are transformed into monsters will become extremely bloodthirsty, their rationality will be eliminated, their hearts will not beat, and the only remaining consciousness is eating. Xia Luo said slowly. This is impossible. The heart can't beat. Isn't that a dead person? Luo was the first to deny it. He is a doctor and knows what this means best. Xia Luo said that what happened was something he had never heard of before, and that no one could survive after their heartbeat stopped. Yes, it's just like what you said, that's why I said it's a monster. This kind of monster can no longer be called human, I call them zombies.
Zombie? No longer human. Luo murmured to himself. The other 3 people also listened with interest. The imperfect T-virus will transform people into zombies. Zombies can no longer be called people, but completely dead people. Moreover, it can also turn dead people into their own kind. Can dead people turn into their own kind? The 4 of them seemed to have opened a taboo Pandora's box, looking horrified. I've heard of immortality and immortality, but I've never heard of people being resurrected as monsters.
This is a path they never envisioned. The rumors on the sea are just ghosts and the like. Most of them think it's just devil fruit's ability. There are no such things as ghosts. Yes, the most deadly thing is its mode of transmission. After the infected person turns into a monster, he will be exactly the same as before life, but he will become a creature that only knows how to eat. And the main thing they eat is people. They will bite creatures while looking for something to eat. After being bitten by him, the creatures will become infected and then turn into new zombies. In addition, if his body's blood or body fluids accidentally enter the body of another person, that person will quickly turn into a zombie. Moreover, this virus is suspected to be able to spread in the air, which is quite difficult. Xia Luo's words once again stimulated them. Eat human. Even pirates despise this kind of thing. There are no such things as cannibals, but they are generally very backward islands. I understand, that's why you said this virus has the ability to destroy the world.
It's because of its special ability to infect and spread quickly, right? But I seem to have heard of this type of virus capability somewhere. Judge's sighed, he said seriously, but he seemed to feel that he had learned about this virus somewhere, and he lowered his head and thought. I know, isn't this an idea of that guy Quinn? Did Mr. Xia Luo get this virus from Quinn? Kaido has been defeated by you, this is.
I guess I found it on Ghost Island. Quote. Guy clapped his palms and suddenly realized something. As he finished speaking, Judge finally remembered. It seems that Quinn had imagined this kind of virus before in Mads, but in the end, because of the disdainful ridicule of several people, the other party became angry and gave up the idea. Unexpectedly, Quinn actually created this kind of virus and gained powerful power. TCH, I really underestimated that guy. Zhao Qian's both of them curled their lips. The guy who both of them once looked down upon was now able to develop such a powerful virus. No, it's not Quinn's ice ghost virus. Although it is very similar, this virus is worse and more powerful than the ice ghost. At this time, Xia Luo shook his head and rejected Judge and Guy's idea. Hey, no, isn't it? Haha, I just said that Guy definitely doesn't have the ability to study this kind of thing. Guy turned into bead-eyed, laughed and said haha. It can turn living people into monsters like dead people, and it can also turn dead people into monsters. If the Sea Kings and some strong men also turned into monsters, the world would indeed be in chaos.
The number of monsters will continue to grow, and eventually there will be more monsters than humans. This sea is too vast, and it is impossible to clear out all the monsters lurking in the sea. Monster. Will the world be destroyed in the end because of this? Pure? Luo lowered his head and pondered, then slowly analyzed. What a terrible virus. At the same time, he was secretly frightened in his heart.
Yes, so when doing research, you must take protective measures. Otherwise, I will destroy everything here, including the infected people. Xia Luo nodded, and then said shocking words. Hey, I understand, Master Xia Luo. Gaisa was also frightened by his words and immediately promised. Any experiment on the T-virus on any living thing must be conducted with Reiju's consent. I will inform Reiju about this first. Then Xia Luo said slowly. Everyone nodded with serious expressions. Luo, this experiment requires your strength. You need to learn biological knowledge from Indigo. Yes, Xia Luo is the head of the family. Xia Luo's heavy responsibility made Luo feel more pressure, but he could only nod helplessly and accepted. Chapter 195 Party and the Arrival of the Revolutionary Army. After giving instructions to Gaisa and others about the T-virus, Xia Luo also told Reiju about the T-virus and asked her to pay a little attention to the situation in the laboratory.
After settling the matters related to the laboratory, Xia Luo decided to hold a banquet on Longyu Island. After all, such a big harvest and victory has been achieved. Sharing the joy of victory with your companions is also a part of the pirate world, and the best way to share the joy is naturally to hold a banquet. At the same time, this is also a welcome ceremony to welcome new partners. Xia Luo also brought Runti and Black Maria down. Black Maria had already accepted the fact of being captured and followed Xia Luo silently. Runti was still not convinced and still resisted fiercely. But after being punished by Xia Luo, he became more honest. Xia Luo brought them here mainly to let them get used to it first. She still likes Runti Jojo, who has her own personality. But it would be more difficult to get them to join the team. With Reiju's arrangements, the banquet went smoothly. At first, everything was normal. Everyone was drunk until the end. Plus today is the full moon. Under the instigation of Xia Luo and others, Garrett also drank a lot of wine, and it happened that the full moon happened to be today. So Xia Luo asked Garrett to transform into a moon lion. Others were also very curious about what it would be like for the fur tribe to transform into a moon lion. Garrett did not refuse, looking at the moon in the sky happily, and then transformed into a moon lion. Do not know why. Garrett, who transformed into a moon lion, has enhanced his biological instincts. She could feel the strong male aura on Xia Luo. Under the influence of alcohol, Garrett awakened to his most primitive thoughts as a beast. That is reproduction. Strong males always attract the attention of females. So Garrett was also attracted by Xia Luo. She leaned against Xia Luo and rubbed against him with a red face. She didn't know whether the rosy face was due to the alcohol or because she was shy. Anyway, Garrett couldn't bear it anymore and jumped on Xia Luo under the cheers of everyone. At this point, the normal banquet time has ended, and it has become the party time that Xia Luo dreams of. Many girls showed their true thoughts at this time. Khalifa, a reserved and serious secretary, also came to Xia Luo's side at some point. Originally, she hated Xia 143 Luo very much, and also hated Xia Luo's sexual harassment. But now he actually put aside his usual reserve and took the initiative to deliver it to his door. Of course Xia Luo accepted this girl decisively. HG +1, +1, +1, +1. This time Xia Luo was really completely crazy. It is estimated that it will be difficult to have such an indulgent party in the future.
He must take this opportunity to satisfy himself and fulfill one of his life dreams. By the second half of the night, alcohol had long lost its effect, but there were still many people who did not resist or reject Xia Luo, but took the initiative to come to their door. Until the next morning, the sun's light shines into the house. The sun shone on Mrs. Xiarli's face, her narrowed eyes moved slightly, and then a murmuring sound came from the back of his mouth.
After some time, Mrs. Xiarli finally woke up. After opening her eyes, she found herself sleeping on the floor. There was a cool touch on the floor. Fortunately, the weather is not hot now, and the mermaid is used to the coldness of the deep sea, so she won't catch a cold from it. After getting up, she felt her head hurt badly. At the same time, the memories of last night came flooding back. Looking at the colorful scene in front of her, Mrs. Xiarli rubbed her eyebrows with a headache.
What a monster. She did not regret her impulse last night, she was just lamenting Xia Luo's monster-like body. She finally experienced this monster-like body last night. Mrs. Xiarli's eyes continued to scan the hall, until she saw Shirahoshi snoring, her pupils suddenly widened. No, this guy actually attacked Shirahoshi. Mrs. Xiarli exclaimed in shock. He actually attacked little Shirahoshi. Mrs. Xiarli looked at the marks on Shirahoshi's body with a complicated expression, which were obviously left last night. Little Shirahoshi is not old enough to drink yet, so he must have brought it to his door last night. Little Shirahoshi has lived in a hard-shell tower since he was a child and has had little contact with the outside world, so he is very curious about what happened to Xia Luo and the others last night. Then he took the initiative to rush over and ask. Unexpectedly, Xia Luo thought Shirahoshi wanted to understand. At the latter's nod, the lower garment taught her what she wanted to know. CEEG. Well, forget it, this is also for the future of the Fishman Island. Mrs. Xiarli shook her head helplessly. The mermaid girls who came with her were also suffering cruel attacks. With these bonds, if something happens to the Fishman Island in the future, I and others can ask Xia Luo for help.
What a pleasant party. Xia Luo stretched, with a satisfied smile on his face, the doctor said. 19. Nami snorted coldly, then turned away from Xia Luo, looking like I was very unhappy. It is true that Xia Luo went too far this time and was too ridiculous.
In the past, there were only a few people at most, but now it's better. At a banquet, all the girls on the island were raped by him. The sight that came to her eyes when she woke up in the morning also shocked her. Everything else was fine, but when I saw that Xia Luo had even attacked the 14-year-old Shirahoshi, I suddenly became angry. Shirahoshi can be said to be everyone's little sister on the ship. Everyone on the ship also doted on little Shirahoshi. Although her size and smallness are completely different. Okay, Nami, don't be angry. I didn't mean it. Xia Luo showed a helpless smile and started to coax Nami. Little Shirahoshi is only 14 years old. I was already 16 when I met you. Recently, have your demands become lower and lower? Nami rolled her eyes at him angrily. Hey, isn't this Shirahoshi taking the initiative to study? Plus I was drunk at the time, so I couldn't refuse the curious little girl's inquiry. Xia Luo smiled sheepishly. This is because he is wrong and has no calendar. Even so, that's not the reason for you to attack little Shirahoshi. Nami decided to punish Xia Luo. Well, it was decided that Xia Luo should not touch herself for a week. Then
she thought for a while, and then, forget it, since he drank and it was unintentional, let him stay for 3 days. In response, Xia Luo could only helplessly spread her hands. But it's okay, he still has Hancock, BABY5 and others who are obedient to him. Plus the little peacock who is trying to get information from him and Sadi-chan. Xia Luo's life is not boring either. A few more days passed like this.
In the pirate world that lacks entertainment items, there are not many things that can entertain you. On weekdays, Xia Luo can only listen to ditties, watch the dancers dance, or do exercises and practice. For a moment, he still missed his old life in Blue Star. There were countless games on the computer for him to play. It's just that in the Blue Star era, life was not as corrupt as it is now. Sure enough, there is a trade-off between dreams and reality. With Paisia's guidance, Shilulia's dancing has improved a lot. Kazuki Hiyori is playing beside her, and her life in the bottom is very comfortable. In his spare time, he went to the laboratory to check the research progress of the T-virus, and by the way taught Xia Luo about Haki's training. If Luo wants to become stronger, the best way is to learn Haki and awaken the fruit's ability. Although Doflamingo is just something he can deal with casually, for most people in this world, he is a powerful person who is out of reach. At least Luo's current strength cannot even beat the cadres of the Don Quixote family.
Xia Luo, there's news from the Revolutionary Army. Reiju came to report in front of Xia Luo. Is it finally here? Let me see what your Revolutionary Army is planning, and let me enjoy Ichiraku. I hope I won't get bored. Xia Luo yawned and rubbed Hancock and Bab beside her vigorously. Y5. Amidst the latter's shy murmur, he slowly stood up.
Let's go, this is not the place to talk. Xia Luo asked Hancock and the two to wait here, while she left the field with Reiju and went to the living room. Several men in cloaks were sitting at a table. There was a guy with a big face, and Xia Luo recognized his identity at a glance. During Summit War, Xia Luo also met him. He is Emporio Ivankov, commander of the Grand Line Army of the Revolutionary Army. Those with the ability of the Paramesha hormone fruit are known as the Monster King and the Miracle Man. Xia Luo is quite interested in his hormone fruit. Of course, he is not trying to turn men into women and then play around with them. He already has a lot of real women, so there is no need to pretend to be some characters and play around with them. It was just his personal bad taste that made him find this fruit's ability very interesting. Hey, everyone from the Revolutionary Army, hello, there is no one else here, you can take off your hood, it's a bit pretentious. Xia Luo strode to the main seat and sat down, putting her feet up on the table with a casual look on her face. Judging from his appearance, he is completely incomparable to the most powerful man in the world.
After hearing this, several people paused, and then slowly pulled down the hoods on their heads. Golden Lion 2, Xia Luo, I have admired your name for a long time. After pulling down his hood, one of the men with slipper marks on his face slowly spoke. This is none other than the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Monkey D. Dragon. Along with him were Chief of Staff Sabo, Grand Line Army Commander Ivankov, Grand Line Army Deputy Commander Lightning, Eastern Army Commander Bello Betty, Eastern Army Deputy Commander Ahiru, and Tabe Koala.
Among them, Ashiro, the Deputy Commander of the Eastern Army, had been to Longyu Island last time, but was rejected by the audition. She is still bitter about it until now. This time following the Revolutionary Army, she finally landed on Longyu Island and met Xia Luo. Well, as expected, he is as young and handsome as the newspapers and rumors said, but his personality is a bit bad, and his hobbies are also. Ahilu silently evaluated Xia Luo in her heart. Mr. Xia Luo, I am Sabo, the Chief of Staff of the Revolutionary Army, and the brother of Ace of the Whitebeard Pirates and Luffy of the Straw Hat Pirates. You gave me a lot of help during the Summit War, and I have never said thank you to you. This time I finally have the opportunity to tell you in person. Thank you for delaying Marine's attack in Summit War, giving us a chance to escape from there. As soon as Long finished saying hello, Sabo spoke. Judging from his serious expression, he seemed to be really sincere in his thanks. There's no need to say thank you. I'm just fulfilling the last wish of a certain old man before he died.
Xia Luo waved her hand and said casually, no matter what, you really helped me.
Thank you for helping us. In this regard, Sabo still said seriously. His expression was full of sincerity.
Okay, there's no need for polite words. The conditions I mentioned to these two beauties earlier should also be conveyed to you, right? How do you think about it? Xia Luo simply put the matter aside and turned around to ask Long. Long didn't expect Xia Luo to be so direct. He lowered his head and was silent for a while, and then said.
Your Excellency Xia Luo, I have already heard from Bello Betty and Koala about your previous request. But these two are crucial cadres of our Revolutionary Army. They have also made many contributions to the Revolutionary Army and liberated the working people everywhere. If you want beauties, there are also some young and beautiful women in our Revolutionary Army who want to join you. We hope that this condition can be changed. Let other willing women join in instead of these two. Quote. We can also use weapons, intelligence and money against you. To compensate, as long as we reach cooperation, we can provide you with these things. When Bello Betty and Koala reported this matter, Sabo and Long refused. They want to use other methods in exchange for cooperation with Xia Luo. After a series of discussions, they finally came to a result. Since Xia Luo likes beautiful women, he will ask those beautiful women in the Revolutionary Army about their wishes, which will also be a big task. Stay with Xia Luo as an undercover agent and pass on the information here. Many young and beautiful women are willing to take on this task.
On the one hand, it is Xia Luo's appearance and strength, on the other hand, it is also for the Revolutionary Army's dedication. There is no shortage of people in the Revolutionary Army who contribute themselves to the collective. Long and others are actually very opposed to this kind of cooperation, which is like trading people, but they want to gain the strength and actions of the other party. In the end, we just negotiated a possible result of cooperation.
But there is absolutely no way they would let these two cadres, Bello Betty and Koala, go out. Xia Luo frowned and turned her eyes to Bello Betty and Koala. At this time, the two people looked uneasy, and they didn't know whether they could cooperate with Xia Luo with this request. Chapter 196 Negotiations Breakdown, Bello Betty's Choice. Don't make any mistakes. Regarding Long's conditions, Xia Luo said coldly to Kaido. Long frowned calmly. Judging from Xia Luo's tone, it is obvious that she is not satisfied with the conditions. But he didn't quite understand. Xia Luo wanted beautiful women, but why did he still use this attitude when he brought women from the Revolutionary Army who were willing to contribute, and also added supplies and intelligence? The negotiations did not go smoothly, which made him feel a little worried about the next cooperation. I want as many beauties as I want. With my current reputation, countless people want to join my force, including many young and beautiful women. The two Chinbu of the Revolutionary Army should also know this. Xia Luo directly raised the question to Bello Betty and Koala. Of course we know this, but does it have anything to do with the conditions for our cooperation? Your Excellency Xia Luo. Long frowned again and asked in confusion. He always had this expressionless and serious face. Even if he frowned, it was difficult for people to guess what he was thinking at this time.
But now he is very confused as to why Xia Luo suddenly said this. He was becoming more and more elusive about the young man in front of him. Oh, don't you understand? Xia Luo sighed, with a look of helplessness on his face. In the eyes of people in this world, all beautiful women are the same.
Coupled with the characteristics of the world, beautiful people are beautiful, and ugly people are ugly. Although Bello Betty and Koala have good looks, they can only be considered beautiful among the many women. There were countless women in the Revolutionary Army who were as beautiful as them. Naturally, they don't know that Xia Luo is obsessed not only with their appearance, but also because of their identity and the particularity of the characters who appeared in the original work. Your Excellency, Xia Luo, please make it clear that we sincerely want to achieve cooperation between the two parties. After all, it is beneficial to both of us, isn't it? Long said with a deadpan expression. As I said before, it's easy for me to want beautiful women, but I can't accept everyone. I will only choose the most special ones. The most special. Long was even more confused. Bello, is there anything special about Betty and Koala? Koala was once a slave and later joined the revolution and became a cadre. Bello Betty is the commander of their Eastern Army, and her fruit is special. Is it because of this reason? But why doesn't Xia Luo like Xia Luo, who is the deputy commander of the Eastern Army? In his opinion, Xia Luo's appearance is equally good, and she can be regarded as one of the beauties.
But Xia Luo is not very interested in her, therefore, there must be something he doesn't know about. Yes, I only like the most special ones. Xia Luo nodded and responded. Mr. Xia Luo, we are very grateful for your love for us, but I really can't imagine what kind of specialness we have. In this regard, Koala said in a panic.
Bello Betty beside her was also confused, but compared to the former, she was much calmer. You don't need to know, because this is how I look at this matter from my own eyes. Xia Luo squinted, answering Koala's question with a gentle smile. Your Excellency Xia Luo, can't you really change the conditions? Bello Betty and Koala are both important cadres of our Revolutionary Army and play a vital role in the future of our Revolutionary Army. We all have a common enemy. Unite, wouldn't it be better to fight the world government together? I don't think Mr. Xia Luo's behavior is like a pirate in the traditional sense. You are a real good person. At this time, Sabo stood up, his tone was slightly a hint of anxiety. It seems that he doesn't want Bello Betty and Koala to leave the Revolutionary Army. Sabo. Long suddenly shouted and stopped Sabo's remarks. Mr. Long. Sabo also realized that he had lost his composure and sat back down again. Haha, it seems that the chief of staff of your Revolutionary Army is still a little too naive. Xia Luo smiled, not really caring, but smiled in a teasing tone.
If Sabo's remarks were placed in the world where Xia Luo was before, it would be moral kidnapping. What does it mean to unite together if we have a common enemy? This situation only occurs when two weak people fight against a strong person. And what about Xia Luo? He has great strength. If he wants to expand his power, he only needs to appeal in the new world, and countless people will want to join him.
Although there will be many people who pretend to be fake and will be targeted by the world government, these people can also be used as cannon fodder. On the other hand, although there are strong men in the Revolutionary Army, most of them are weak civilians. Because most of the members of the Revolutionary Army are ordinary civilians who have been oppressed by the kingdom, their biggest weapons are obviously firearms. Compared to many mid-level combat girls like Xia Luo who are powerful and have many fruit abilities, they are far behind. Moreover, Xia Luo is currently researching a more perfect artificial devil fruit. In the future, under the research of Xia and others, it is possible to create an artificial human similar to a pacifist. Think about the countless phantom beasts androids, what a terrifying army that would be. In the near future, Xia Luo will have the power to fully wage war with the world government. Then why should he cooperate with the Revolutionary Army? I'm very sorry for Sabo's gaffe. But part of what he said is the same as mine. Bello Betty and Koala are important members of the Revolutionary Army and must not be separated easily.
Also, Mr. Xia Luo, can you change the condition? This condition is really unacceptable to us. Long said calmly and slowly, he no longer has high hopes for this cooperation. He thought his conditions were already very generous, but what he never expected was that Xia Luo would be so picky and willful. I'm not interested in anything else. I just want these two beautiful ladies. I think you should ask Miss Bello Betty and Miss Koala for their opinions.
You only have one chance. If you can't seize it, there will be no cooperation in the future. At the same time, I do not welcome the Revolutionary Army here. In the future, all revolutionary armies in my territory will be cleared and eliminated by me. The atmosphere gradually became anxious, and the atmosphere also cooled down. Xia Luo's merciless tone was also irritating to these people. The territory he was talking about was naturally not just the sky on Longyu Island. This also includes many islands in the New World. Xia Luo did not use lion fruit to bring those islands back because there were too many islands and they were about to form a continent. Kaido's territory was also taken over by him, and now Xia Luo owns a large territory in the New World. Of course, there are also people from the Revolutionary Army hiding here. If they are caught or killed by Xia Luo, it will be a painful blow. At the same time, it also means that the living space of their Revolutionary Army in the New World is constantly shrinking.
In the future, Xia Luo still doesn't know how many islands he will seize and how far his territory will expand. Blindly retreating will only lead to destruction in the end. If you want to get out of this predicament, you have to reach a cooperation with Xia Luo, or choose to go against the underwear. But they can't even overthrow the world government. They're hiding in islands all over the world like rats. How can they have the strength to challenge the overlord of the sea? It seems that our revolutionary army has no chance to cooperate with His Excellency Xia Luo, but we really want to maintain a friendly relationship with His Excellency Xia Luo.
Boom. As soon as Long finished speaking, a powerful momentum enveloped the entire living room. Then another powerful momentum appeared, and the two momentums collided. Your Majesty Xia Luo, what do you mean? Long's brows were furrowed, and the momentum just now was naturally Xia Luo's Conqueror's Haki. Almost instantly, these people in the Revolutionary Army were so shocked by Xia Luo's Conquerors that they could not move. It wasn't until he used his own Conquerors to counteract that the others could take a breather. At the same time, he also secretly lamented that Xia Luo's Conquerors was so powerful, no wonder it could defeat Kaido, who was also the overlord. This kind of light Conqueror's Haki is so powerful, and the Conqueror's entanglement will be so powerful. What's more, the opponent also has a transformation similar to the ability of the Phantom Beast Devil Fruit, as well as the lightning incarnation of Logia Devil Fruit, as well as the powerful Paramesha Lion Fruit and sword skills. It was the first time that Long felt such a strong sense of oppression.
I also secretly regret that I shouldn't have sent Bello Betty and Koala over in the first place. Because of his wrong decision, the Revolutionary Army is now in trouble. I don't mean anything else, but what I said before is not a joke. In my eyes, there are only myself and my enemies. It seems that Mr. Long is already ready to become my enemy. Now it's just a meeting gift. It won't be so simple next time.
Xia Luo said slowly and calmly. Madman. 1. Long cursed secretly in his heart. Xia Luo's posture was very casual, as if she had done an insignificant thing casually. But what he is doing now is to establish a powerful enemy for himself. Isn't Xia Luo afraid of provoking too many people and eventually being punished? Is he really so confident in his own strength? Their revolutionary army is not a fool. Huh, Sir Xia Luo, Mr. Long, please stop first. At this time, Bello Betty blew out a smoke ring and put out the cigarette at the corner of his mouth. The two people's eyes turned to Bello Betty at the same time, and at the same time, their momentum slowly retracted. ... Asterisk 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 0. Xia Luo looked at Bello Betty with interest, and he was quite looking forward to what choice the other party would make. Should he give in and choose to join Xia Luo? Or should he respond forcefully and declare war? After all, this woman also has a very strong temper, which is very consistent with her inspiration fruit.
Mr. Long, I have to say sorry to you first. I have decided to quit the Revolutionary Army. What did you say? Bello Betty, you are an important partner of our Revolutionary Army. Although we are still developing, we are not without fear of the enemy. No, Mr. Long, I have made up my mind. This is my own wish. When I joined the Revolutionary Army, you also said that we can decide whether to stay or go at will. The Revolutionary Army will not force anyone to revolution. Now, I want to break away and revolutionize the world.
Bello Betty's eyes were very firm. Her eyes are very beautiful, very similar to Kazuki Hiyori. Generally, a woman with such eyes is a very beautiful woman. All I can say is that Oda is really good at drawing women. Koala on the side was also shocked when she heard Bello Betty's words and saw her determined expression at this time. She originally thought that Xia Luo would have a conflict with their revolutionary army here, and then fight. With the strength of their current revolutionary army, it is indeed difficult to resist Xia Luo, but Long's special fruit ability can completely lead them to escape from the air. But I didn't expect Bello Betty to stand up at this time. Oh, it seems that you two are thinking. The laws are not consistent either. 0.0. But it's not too late now. What I just said can be taken back, and the matter can be written off. We will not clean up the members of the revolutionary army in various places in my territory in the future. Xia Luo raised his eyebrows and said in a playful tone.
Bello Betty's decision did not go beyond his expectations, and was quite different from the two results he had previously imagined. Not enough. I hope to exchange your previous conditions with myself, and I will completely watch the Revolutionary Army cut off the relationship and no longer have any contact with you. But Bello Betty shook his head and said seriously. She wanted to save the child Koala as much as possible. Although Koala is not old, the revolution has been going on for a long time. Her espionage ability in obtaining intelligence is very outstanding, and the Revolutionary Army still needs her.
No, no one will do anything for only half of the remuneration. If you want me to agree to your cooperation conditions, it must be you and her. Xia Luo refused and pointed at Bello Betty and Koala. I should be very important to you, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't give up the generous conditions and choose us. I want to add a condition. It will not involve a battle between the world government and some maritime overlords, and help the revolutionary army once. Otherwise, even if there is a fight, I will never give in to you. Bello Betty gritted his teeth slightly, and then he could only find another way to improve his preferential treatment. She wanted to obtain greater benefits for the revolutionary army as much as possible while preserving Koala. It was best to try to get Xia Luo to help the revolutionary army once, even if it did not involve the current situation. In terms of Sea Overlord and Marine. Sure enough, as soon as these words came out, Xia Luo's eyes hesitated. Bello Betty felt happy, thinking that this was not the case. To be precise, you are not important, but you are important because of my personal hobbies.
It's all because of Xia Luo's damn obsessive-compulsive disorder. When he came to a world where strength was respected, he wanted to become stronger and use HG. Moreover, he liked every woman who appeared in the original novel. To put it simply, it is Xia Luo's hobby of collecting stamps. In addition, this request is not a trouble for Xia Luo, it is just a one-time attack, it does not involve any strong people. He could even send Xiao Yin to do it for him, but Xia Luo was still hesitant to agree directly.
Bello Betty is very beautiful, he also likes her personality, and her abilities are also good. He really wants to get her. But the result is the same, right? After all, I don't want to get there cheaply. At least you have to give me some value. To be honest, your appearance is also my type. How about you? A cute big boy. Bello Betty stepped forward, pulled Xia Luo's collar, bent slightly, and said in a playful but very seductive tone. She was originally wearing only a coat, which was bare-chested. The anti-gravity coat allowed her to keep her breasts uncovered, but now she was openly displayed in front of Xia Luo. But for Xia Luo, what is more charming is her eyes that are similar to Kazuki Hiyori's, and her unique sisterly temperament. This is the seventh temperament that Kazuki Hiyori cannot imitate. Chapter 197 Koala's Decision. Dragon's Conjecture. Okay, I promise you. After thinking for half a second, Xia Luo decisively agreed to Bello Betty's painless request. The latter's eyes finally flashed with a smile. It was really easy to grasp the preferences of the little man in front of him.
Etc. Just after Xia Luo agreed to Bello Betty, a sudden voice attracted everyone's attention. Follow the sound. I saw Koala's eyes were firm and his face was full of perseverance. AR. For some reason, seeing Koala's expression, Sabo couldn't help but murmured, feeling uneasy in his heart.
Sure enough, the next second, the words from the other party's mouth put him into a state of shock. Mr. Long, thank you for taking care of me over the years. Koala first bowed to the dragon and said with a solemn expression. Everyone immediately guessed what she was thinking. Long was silent. He could not interfere with a person's will and revolutionary determination. He had already seen this from Bello Betty. Therefore, the dragon cannot force or interfere with the other party's decision. He could only deal with it silently. I have decided that I want to quit the revolutionary army. Then Koala said slowly. As soon as she said this, she breathed out a sigh of relief, and then showed a charming smile. Wait, Koala, Sabo-kun, stop talking, it's okay. Sabo wanted to speak, but was interrupted by Koala. There are people in the revolutionary army who can replace me, but Mr. Xia Luo's power is irreplaceable. With his help, people all over the world can be liberated faster. 7:30. I also have things I want to do. I want to liberate the suffering people in the world sooner, so please forgive me for my willfulness this time.
Koala sealed the conversation directly, leaving no room for rejection. Sabo originally wanted to say that with their current revolutionary army, they could one day liberate this terrible world, but he was blocked by Koala's next sentence, and he could only swallow his words.
Koala, have you decided yet? Long asked in a calm tone and seriously. Mr. Long, do you also agree with Koala's decision? Upon hearing this, Sabo looked in disbelief and quickly shouted anxiously. Sabo, we can't stop a person's will and decision, can we? Koala has her own choice. Long looked at Sabo calmly, leaving him speechless. In the end, Sabo could only lower his head with a lonely expression. Koala walked up to Xia Luo, and Bello Betty looked at her with a complicated expression, and her expression was a little helpless. Mr. Xia Luo, we sincerely want to seek cooperation with you. I hope you can help the revolutionary army and liberate people around the world from suffering. This is my only request. Koala's smile is lively and confident, no different from her usual performance. But if you look carefully, you can still see a trace of reluctance in her eyes, but it was quickly replaced by determination.
What a good girl. I agree to your request. Xia Luo rubbed her little head and smiled. At this time, an inexplicable NTR feeling arose in his heart. First it was Luffy's CP, then Ace's CP, Zoro's CP, and now even Sabo's CP was taken by him. In other words, I stole the wives who were originally scheduled to play these roles. But aren't I a pure love warrior? When can I still feel NTR while doing this kind of thing? No, I must be a pure love war god.
Fraternity is also pure love. Only when you really like this person will you think of them. It is not you who is wrong, Xia Luo nodded inwardly and agreed with his own set of ideas. Strong people always have their own way of thinking, and there is no reason for it to be placed on Xia Luo. Don't look like this. Didn't you achieve your goal? You can also tell me your actions in the future, whether it's your plan to attack naval headquarters or kill Mariajoy. As long as you don't make me bored, that's fine. Of course, I will give priority to loot, but I am not interested in things like weapons and treasures. Information can also be shared, so you can rest assured. Quote. Then he turned his head silently, looked at the depressed revolutionary army, and smiled. Everyone naturally knows what loot Xia Luo wants. I am very happy to reach a cooperation with Mr. Xia Luo. With the power of Mr. Xia Luo, I believe that the success of the revolution is not far away. Long responded. The others were silent, still a little disappointed at the departure of their companions.
Why? Koala. Bello Betty, who was standing behind Xia Luo, asked in a low voice. Sister Betty can sacrifice her life for the revolution, so why can't I? As I just said, I also have what I want to do. Koala said with a smile. Bello Betty was silent for a while, then smiled again and gently rubbed Koala's soft hair. You little guy has grown up, and you already have your own ideas.
Bello Betty smiled helplessly. People will always grow, and the time I spent in the Revolutionary Army is not much longer than that of Sister Betty. I have already made my awakening. Besides, Sister Betty will be lonely here alone. I also want to stay here with Sister Betty. Koala winked at her playfully. Bello Betty smiled and shook her head helplessly. The girl's low-pitched discussion was not heard or cared by the other people. Xia Luo planned to leave after being polite to Long and others, and then sent some confidential documents over. Including some actions that the Revolutionary Army needs Xia Luo to cooperate with. After bidding farewell to the two women from the Revolutionary Army, they planned to leave. Before leaving, Sabo looked at Koala and Bello Betty with some reluctance. The two comrades who had been getting along for a long time now suddenly left. He still couldn't accept it, but there was nothing he could do. Etc. At this time, Xia Luo suddenly spoke. Do you have anything else to say, Your Excellency Xia Luo?
Long and others turned around and asked in confusion. Xia Luo nodded, then continued. I do have a small request. Ivankov, the commander of the army, is a user of the hormone fruit, right? Huh? That's right. I am a user with the fruit ability of hormones. Is Xia Luo boy also interested in me? Embryo estrogen. Ivankov saw that Xia Luo seemed to be interested in him, and then said with a playful look. After saying that, he used his devil fruit ability. Suddenly, Ivankov changed from a tall and strong man to a petite woman with a hot body. Okay, but it will be more expensive. If you want them to join, you must let Bello Betty and Koala return to the Revolutionary Army. After all, no matter what, he is the commander of the Revolutionary Army's Great Route, which is very important. Also, by the way, I would like to mention that boys wearing bottoms are also the type that people like. Ivankov, who turned into a woman, winked at Xia Luo charmingly, and his behavior changed into that of a woman. Although she is now in the form of a plump and hot girl, Xia Luo shuddered inexplicably when she thought of his appearance before. No, I'm not interested in men. Xia Luo quickly waved her hand to refuse, with a drop of cold sweat streaming down her forehead. Hee. Bello Betty and Koala behind him couldn't help but cover their mouths and chuckle when they saw his appearance. They also discovered a weakness of Xia Luo, which seemed to be a strong dislike for transvestites. It's so rude, Xia Luo boy, you are not a man, she is a she-male, and her current body is a genuine female body. Ivankov was still twisting his body in that charming manner, which really made Xia Luo sick. Several other members of the Revolutionary Army were used to him being like this. After all, we have been together for so long, and we already know the basics. Your Excellency, Xia Luo, please speak frankly. After all, this is one of the conditions for cooperation. If you help us, we will also provide you with what you want. Long said calmly. I need the hormones Ivankov just used, and a little bit of his blood. Xia Luo was relieved by Long's opening. After being disgusted by Ivankov like this, Xia Luo might really be tempted to take action. He had just reached a cooperation and got what he wanted, but now he didn't want the two girls who had just joined to hate him. Can I ask, what does Your Excellency Xia Luo need Ivankov's blood and hormones for? Long asked with a puzzled look on his face. Is there something special about Ivankov? He is just an ordinary Paramesha demon fruit power, right? If there is really any difference from others, it is that he is a she-male. Looking at the way he looked just now, it was impossible for him to like she-males. Could it be? Long suddenly thought of a possibility, and his pupils suddenly widened. It just requires some blood and hormones to do some small experiments. Xia Luo said casually. There's nothing to hide, as long as you don't say it's used to make devil fruit. Who can imagine what experiments Xia Luo will do? I'm afraid it's more than just a little experiment. But Long suddenly said meaningfully. I heard that Sir Xia Luo captured a Blackbeard and a devil fruit user during the targeting war. Now we need the blood of Paramesha demon fruit power. It seems that Mr. Xia Luo is collecting some demon fruit power in their blood? It just so happens that I was an old acquaintance with Dr. Vegapunk, the monitor of Marine's special science class when first was in Marine. What you are doing now seems to be consistent with the materials required for some experiments he did.
Furthermore, the two scientists Geisa and Judge must be under your command now. Could it be that Mr. Xia Luo is researching artificial devil fruit and the pacifism of the world government? Plan. Long's eyes flashed with light, and he slowly told his conjecture. Bang bang bang. As expected of the leader of the Revolutionary Army. As expected, your Revolutionary Army's intelligence capabilities are so vast that you can even guess these things. Xia Luo clapped her hands and applauded, her face showing unabashed praise. Just based on this bit of information, you can guess the experiment that Xia Luo is doing now, which is enough to prove the intelligence capabilities of their Revolutionary Army. Hearing this, everyone showed shocked expressions. Artificial devil fruit. They only found out that Kaido has a group of people with artificial devil fruit abilities, and they are all zone. Unexpectedly, Xia Luo can now make artificial devil fruit. And it also needs Paramesh's blood, which should be the plan to make Paramesh's artificial devil fruit.
No wonder he was targeting the war to take away Blackbeard and Katarina Deepon. After Long's analysis, others finally understood. Does Mr. Xia Luo want to use my blood to create a bear-like clone, pacifist? It's so scary. When I think of the millions of me in this world, I can't help but tremble with fear. Hey, Song, the heroine of this world, is enough to have 10 of me. Ivankov made funny moves and rolled twice on the ground, then he stood up and refused with a serious face.
I won't make a clone of you. It would be too eye-catching. Xia Luo was a little speechless and said firmly. You can't do it. That's too disappointing. 2.6 Ivankov seemed to have been hit, and the lost ore's form, black gas and black lines emerged around him. Xia Luo is now somewhat accustomed to the other party's weird appearance. After all, the characteristics of the pirate world are that there are still many such funny comparisons. Over time, you will get used to it after being exposed to it a few times. Dragon suddenly said. Give it to him, Ivankov. There was still a look of surprise on Ivankov's face. She didn't expect that these words would come out of Long's mouth. Your Excellency Xia Luo is now our ally. The stronger the alliance is, the higher the success rate of our revolution will be in the future. I believe that Your Excellency Xia Luo is a person who keeps his promises. Long said with a heavy tone. There are countless people with Paramesha Devil Fruit's abilities in this sea. As long as Xia Luo wants, he can catch a lot of them in the New World and study them. So there is no need to get hung up on this little thing.
All right. Ivankov returns to his previous self, breaking away from his amusing state. Xia Luo also took out 2 small bottles from the space and filled them with 10 tubes of blood and 10 tubes of female hormones. I have seen your sincerity and I believe we will cooperate very happily. Xia Luo nodded with satisfaction and said in a brisk tone. If Your Excellency Xia Luo comes up with any new results, our Revolutionary Army will be happy to exchange them with you.
Seeing this, I also made a request to trade with Xia Luo. Artificial devil fruit is a good way to become stronger. The fastest way to overall improve the mid-level combat power of their Revolutionary Army. He also wanted to trade with Xia Luo to obtain some to increase the combat effectiveness of the Revolutionary Army. Chapter 198 New Target, Gulen Tesoro. Ha 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 ha. If the Revolutionary Army can get something that I am interested in, of course I will be willing to make some transactions. After all, I also received your benefits, didn't I? With a friendly smile on her face, Xia Luo shook the 2 tubes of liquid in her hands. The ideas of the Revolutionary Army actually do not conflict with what he wants to do, and his real enemies are not these ordinary civilians. When he overthrows the world government, he will use the power in his hands to create a more perfect world. Xia Luo added. However, the current research is not perfect yet, let's wait until the test products are more complete in the future.
Your Excellency Xia Luo's words are enough. The dragon nodded, Kaido. He still believed it from the mouth of the 4 emperors, and the 2 parties were still cooperating and were allies. Then let's take our leave first. After saying that, Long took the people and left Longyu Island. It wasn't until everyone left that Koala's eyes showed a hint of reluctance, but she hid it very well, not even Bello Betty next to her noticed it.
She really didn't want to leave the Revolutionary Army, but it was a pity that things went against her wishes. Bello Betty looked at it quite openly, with a relaxed look on her face. Xia Luo also led the 2 of them out of the conference room while passing through the long and dark corridor. Koala suddenly asked in a low voice to Bello Betty beside him. Sister Betty, are you nervous? Bello Betty blew out a smoke ring, and Kaido said with a dull expression, no. But, I heard it hurts the first time. With a hint of blush on his cheeks, Koala leaned against the other person's side and whispered. Oh, don't worry, I can handle it by myself. Hearing that Koala asked such a sensitive question, Bello Betty also showed a helpless smile and comforted softly. Could it be that Sister Betty is very experienced? Koala said in surprise. No, it's my first time too. But all men in the world are the same. I heard that most men don't last too long. Once I drain him dry, he won't have much energy to care about you. I will use my own charm to conquer the man in front of me and make him fall under my skirt. Bello Betty looked at Xia Luo who was leading the way with burning eyes and said confidently.
So awesome. Koala was infected by her confident tone and couldn't help but want to clap her hands. But I was afraid of being heard by Xia Luo in front of me, so I just whispered in a low voice. Little did they know that all their conversations fell into Xia Luo's ears.
In response to Bello Betty's confident words, Xia Luo raised the corners of her mouth and revealed a playful smile. No one dared to say such complacent words to him. I hope the other party won't kneel down and beg for mercy when the time comes. The long, dark corridor came to an end, and there was a dazzling light in front of it. When they walked into the hall, the two of them were shocked and opened their mouths wide by the scene in front of them. The sight before them really shocked them. The huge mermaid princess Shirahoshi, the princess Vivi of Alabasta, the two princesses Rebecca and Violet of Dressrosa next door, the princess Reiju of the Germa Kingdom, and the princess Kazuki Hiyori of Wanokuni. There are many different races here, including mermaids, fur people, and sky islanders. The only thing that is the same is that every woman here is very beautiful. Each one has an appearance that is almost as good as the two. They also saw Shalulia, who was kidnapped by Xia Luo, and Whiteabe, the famous ice witch in the New World.
We even saw the famous pirate queen Boa Hancock here. Koala and Bello Betty felt as if they were at a gathering of the world's top beauties. Especially Bello Betty, who had whispered before that she wanted Xia Luo to fall under her pomegranate skirt. Now seeing the good looks of Shirahoshi, Hancock, Hiyori and others, I immediately feel the pressure doubled. The girls were not surprised to see the arrival of the three people. They were basically used to Xia Luo bringing a few women back from outside from time to time.
Almost every time I go out, I will gain something, except for one exception. Then Xia Luo took the two women to say hello to others. The girls did not reject each other. After all, they were all sisters who would fight together in the future. Time flies. A few more days passed. In this pirate world that lacks entertainment, Xia Luo feels a little bored. Every day, I either listen to Diddy, watch the dancers dancing, or enjoy Khalifa's soap bubble bath. You will eventually get tired of it over time. In the past 2 days, Bello Betty and Koala have also gotten used to the life here. After being relieved of their duties in the Revolutionary Army, the two experienced a sense of relaxation that they had not seen for a long time. When I was in the Revolutionary Army, I was running for the revolution almost all the time, but now I am here thinking about what to eat and what to play every day. Coupled with the luxurious facilities here, you can play in the swimming pool with the mermaid ladies when you are bored, and when you are tired, you can go directly back to this luxurious castle to rest. No need to think about other issues. They often fantasize about how wonderful it would be if this kind of life existed for every civilian.
AAU, although Xia Luo was not able to enjoy herself to the fullest, she still let them go with a smile. Being able to attack this arrogant and confident woman was also one of Xia Luo's goals. She will probably be a lot more honest in the future. In the past few days, the two of them have truly realized how ridiculous the combat power of these people on Xia Luo's ship is. As the commander of the Eastern Army, Bello Betty's strength is not even ranked here.
Almost every one of the women that Xia Luo initially followed had Vice Admiral level strength. Nami, Karina and others are almost reaching the Admiral level, and it is estimated that their strength should also reach the level of the alternate Admiral. Although he can't beat him, he can deal with Admiral for a while, which is a real sub-level battle experience. They also discovered that there is a different space in Xia Luo that can speed up the progress of cultivation, and there is also a strange cooking book that can quickly turn people into skilled chefs. Even if they have been to many strange islands, they will still feel that Longyu Island is really wonderful and dreamy. At the same time, they also keenly discovered that Xia Luo, Nami and others seemed to have a slightly different attitude towards the peacock people than others. Although it is quite secretive, it seems that there are some secrets that he does not want these people to know. There are strange things like extra-dimensional training rooms and cooking books, including Punk Hazard's experiments. Whenever they want to bring forward their opinions, they will be fooled by Xia Luo. Based on this guess, they estimated that these people were undercover agents sent by that force.
But Xia Luo is really big-hearted, and he even dares to take in undercover agents. Is there anything special about these women? In terms of looks, everyone here is pretty, and there are many good-looking women among the selected group. Higher. However, Xia Luo has to choose these undercover agents, which is really a strange hobby. Have a good time, have a good time, have a good time. Runti stretched with a greater than W less than expression and shouted loudly.
Hey, Xia Luo, don't you have anything interesting to do? After stretching, Runti lay on the sofa, kicked Xia Luo's arm with her foot, and asked with a pair of dead fish eyes hanging. No, please also pay attention to your current status. You are now my prisoner. Xia Luo had a speechless expression on her face. This woman is really not afraid of life. As a prisoner, she is so rude to the master here. It seems that she needs to be taught a lesson. Didn't you see Black Maria sitting very quietly in the back, silently listening? This is what a prisoner should do. No, you don't even have anything fun to do in life. You are such a pathetic person. Run completely turned a deaf ear to his words and looked at Xia Luo with a shocked expression. She was forcibly brought to the scene by Xia Luo at the party a few days ago, but she was innocently hit by aid. Maybe it was because she had lived in the Beast's pirates since she was a child, so Runchi didn't have any feelings about this matter, and she didn't even care about the pretentiousness.
Xia Luo has no restrictions other than restricting her on Longyu Island, so she is quite free. After the past few days of getting used to it, she actually managed to become more of a customer-oriented person. If you want to have fun, I can also play sports with you. Xia Luo took Runti's jade white feet off his thigh, and then said with a playful look. No, although it feels very comfortable, I hate you. Runti shook her head and refused unceremoniously.
This way of speaking is also a characteristic of the pirate world. Even when facing powerful four emperors like Xia Luo, he can still speak his mind. It's a shame you can tell me. You eat and drink from me now, but you still despise me. I'll lock you in a dungeon and only give you a little pitiful food every day to make you hungry. I won't even give you anything to eat. Rotating potato tower. Xia Luo showed a wicked smile, pinched Runti's little face with one hand and pulled her up. You guy, don't think that if you threaten me like this, I will give in. Open the collar if you can. Let's fight again. Xia Luo's words deeply aroused her, not because she was put in a dungeon, but because she was not allowed to eat the rotating potato tarts. Runti's eyes widened angrily and she stared at Xia Luo. Even when she was angry, she acted very cute. You are my prisoner now. I have no reason to listen to a prisoner, and you can't beat me even if I give you 10,000 chances. So, call me master now, otherwise I will never let Nokigao make rotating potato tarts for you again. Xia Luo had a naughty smile on her face and kept pinching the other person's delicate face. Run wanted to break free, but the restraint of Seastone prevented her from exerting her power. So there was no way to escape Xia Luo's clutches.
Hanas. Are you afraid of my power? Let me go and fight with me? No. Call me the master quickly, or I won't let you eat the rotating potato tart in the future. Don't even think about it, I will never give in to you. Hee hee hee. It seems that you are drinking as a penalty if you don't eat the toast. Don't even think about it. Runti hugged Xia Luo's outstretched hand with both hands, climbed up directly, and kicked Xia Luo's face hard with one foot.
She looks like Xia Luo's hand armor now, wrapped around Xia Luo's arm, trying hard to resist. Seeing the two of them playing around like children, Black Maria behind them sighed deeply. Sometimes she really envied Runti's personality, which was simple, cute and natural, but even though she had a bad temper, she also spoke harshly. But it seems to be in Xia Luo's heart and can be loved by him. Even Runti was not punished for doing this. If it were other four emperors' pirates, they should not have any freedom to move around, but would be strictly guarded in the dungeon. Now she actually has freedom that she never imagined. However, although Runchi was loved by Xia Luo, she would still suffer from it later. Her stubborn character will eventually determine. She will always be bullied by Xia Luo in the future. Now Black Maria can only pray that Kaido is still alive and can come over early to defeat Xia Luo and save them from the sea of suffering. Ha, 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 no more fun, it's boring. After some fighting, Runti collapsed weakly on the sofa and gasped for air.
Seastone's shackles still restricted her too much, and this third-level physical disability couldn't even endure a rough and tumble session. In the end, she was mercilessly pressed on her thigh by Xia Luo, letting him play with the hair on her head. Run deliberately used the horns on his head to attack Xia Luo's stomach, but the latter pushed his head down mercilessly. Xia Luo has long been curious about what the mouth guard under T's mask looks like.
So I took off the other party's mask early, but to my surprise, there were no shark teeth, but the slightly pouty and rosy mouth of an ordinary woman. After playing with it for a while, Xia Luo let her go with satisfaction. The latter quickly retreated to Nangxia Sui with his head in his hands, his eyes full of warning. She felt like the top of her head was almost being rubbed bald by the other party. Touching the little hair on her head, she put down her hand. Fortunately she wasn't really bald, otherwise she wouldn't have the shame to go out and meet people. But you're right, I've been a little too busy lately, so I need to find some fun. Xia Luo rubbed her chin and thought carefully. There are still many things that can be done, including finding pure gold, then defeating the other four emperors in New World, collecting historical texts, and then overthrowing the world government. But these are all business matters, and now he wants to be less formal. Suddenly, Xia Luo's eyes lit up, and he seemed to think of someone very important.
I just happened to take advantage of the free time now to go to that place for some entertainment and snatch people back by the way.
No, it's to snatch away all the other party's property.
Thinking of this, Xia Luo also made a decision. Let's go. Get ready to sail. I'll take you to a fun place. Xia Luo patted Runti's little butt and said in a brisk tone. I don't have the energy to play with these things with you right now. By the way, please take off my seastone shackles.
Runchi is now lying on the sofa with her little butt sticking out towards Xia Luo. She looks weak now and doesn't even want to move. She just turns her head slightly and stares at Xia Luo. Said weakly, it's not what you think. It's not a problem for Lao Wao to live on the island. It's time to go out and have some fun. I have already chosen the location. The world's largest entertainment city, Gulan Tesoro. Don't you feel very free? Just go there to relax this time. Huh, we finally set sail. I haven't experienced this feeling of sea breeze for a long time. Nami took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and opened her arms to feel the slightly salty sea breeze. Before Xia Luo suddenly decided to go to sea, Nami and others, who had already been bored for a long time, agreed. Except for the passers-by who he didn't know, most of the other women on the island chose to sail with Xia Luo. This time I went out to relax, and by the way, I saw the legendary largest entertainment city in the world, a giant ship made entirely of gold, and a Jisei scientist. Although it is a ship, the nature of Gulen Tesoro is similar to that of Germa 66. Both belong to the category of ship island and country. Chapter 199 Research on World Destruction. It is an independent country and demilitarized zone recognized by the world government, and it is an absolute sanctuary that the world government cannot take action at will.
All this is because Gilder Tesoro, the head of Gulen Tesoro, has built the empire today by running it with money. Yes, this guy has been acting alone recently. Every time he goes out, he will wait for a while before continuing to sail. Karina stared at Xia Luo, who was surrounded by women, and said,
There are more and more people on the boat, and it's starting to become lively. Obviously there were only a few of us at first, but now even the time we have to monopolize him has been reduced a lot. Upon hearing this, Nami also turned his head and smiled with a little helplessness. Her eyes seemed to recall the time when Xia Luo forcibly pulled them onto the boat 2 years ago. They were still very young at that time and have grown up with Xia Luo all the way to where they are now. At that time, there were only the innocent and cute Kaya and the undeveloped Xia Luo on board. Thinking about it now, she was really lucky. At that time, I was forcibly invited by Xia Luo to board the ship. Well, there will be a long time to come, and we can't do without him, right? Nami also smiled helplessly. You are too optimistic. Aren't you the same? Nami smiled and rushed forward, tickling Karina's weak spots. Oh, I'm so annoying, let me go. Karina laughed out loud after being tickled and immediately begged for mercy. Don't even think about it. Take advantage of me again.
Nami scratched Karina's armpits reluctantly and said with a smirk on her face. But soon, the two men's offense and defense alternated, and it was Nami's turn to be suppressed by Karina and then tickled non-stop. The two are similar in strength, and Nami may be countered by Karina without using the fruit's ability. Hula hola, now it's my turn. Xia Luo was on the deck, watching the two women having fun with a smile.
The long you sailed on the sea for 2 days. Finally, when the night came, we arrived at the entertainment city of Gulen Tesoro. Although Xia Luo can fly quickly with her abilities, sailing on the sea is also a part of entertainment. Mainly when they are not doing anything important, Xia Luo and others are used to sailing slowly on the sea to experience the process of this kind of travel. After all, he wasn't in a hurry to go. Wow, is this the Golden City? Nami and Karina clasped their fingers together, their eyes turned into the shape of dollar, and they said in amazement. This glittering city has blinded them. At this moment, how much they want to pack up the entire city and take it back. It's indeed brilliant. Even Xia Luo, who doesn't care about money, couldn't help but exclaimed. Yes, yes, when did we snatch him? Nami and Karina also echoed, and then looked expectantly, waiting for Xia Luo's reply. Don't worry, let's play here for a few days first. Xia Luo rubbed the two women's little heads and said with a helpless smile.
This little money-crazy character is really. It's clear that the two of them have more money than they can use in their small warehouse. When Longyu Island passes through the tunnel of Gulen Tesoro and enters the center, gold dust began to fall from the sky. The sky actually started to rain golden rain. Look, even the ocean has turned golden. Everyone marveled at the magic of this sea area. But in fact, these are Gilder Tesolo's methods. The opponent is a person with the ability of the Paramisha Devil Fruit, and can control gold through his abilities. It's a pity that the golden fruit cannot produce gold out of thin air, otherwise Nami would be eager to eat the second devil fruit. Huh, just play these little tricks. Xia Luo smiled and shook his head, Japanese momentum erupted from his body. Suddenly the gold powder was blown away, but no matter how much it floated, it could not fall on the Longyu ship. What's wrong? Xia Luo, is there anything wrong with this gold powder? Everyone asked in confusion. It's nothing, it's just a little trick of the master here. I will warn him. Xia Luo said with a relaxed expression and a chuckle. Reiju, Nami and others all showed thoughtful expressions and nodded in response. In the palace at the center of Gulen Tesoro, Gilder Tesoro was drinking champagne leisurely, but a sudden strong momentum interrupted his movements. 2. Conqueror's Haki. Has any monster arrived on the island? Gilder Tesoro looked very ugly. He could feel that this was a warning from the other party, as if he had noticed his little trick when he entered the island. Tisk, that's really troublesome. Gilder Tesoro was still having a headache. A person who looked like a big-headed doll walked through the wall and came to him. The person who came was Mr. Tanaka, the city's guard, and a person with abilities who had eaten the fruit of piercing through. Lord Tesoro, a great person is here. Mr. Tanaka looked calm and reported the report calmly. I already know. The other party just gave me a warning. How can they not take me seriously? There are not many people in this world.
Tell me, who is here? Suddenly, Tezolo showed a very interested smile and asked Mr. Tanaka doubtfully. 4 Emperors. Golden Lion 2, Xia Luo. Mr. Tanaka slowly said a name. PG. New World owned Conqueror's Haki, and there were some, but he didn't expect the visitors to be 4 Emperors. No wonder you dare to ignore His Majesty. It's so nerve-wracking. How come the 4 Emperors are here? They're not just here to have fun. Hearing that, Tezolo no longer had the playful smile before, but rubbed his temples with a headache. In short, let Baccarat entertain them first, try not to let them cause any trouble here, and try to satisfy them with whatever they want to play. Yes, Tezuo falls into the world. After receiving Tezolo's order, Tanaka saluted respectfully, and then his body slowly sank into the ground. I hope you're just here to have fun. I don't want to get into a fight with the 4 Emperors at this time.
It wasn't until after Tanaka left that Gilder Tetsulo muttered to himself with a dark face. Xia Luo sighed. After passing through the tunnel, we came to a golden ocean area. There are auditoriums all around. There is a singer singing on the stage, and the audience, leaders, is cheering. Suddenly, a spectator noticed the boat of Xia Luo and others. He didn't care at first, because countless such ships had already come.
Until he accidentally glanced at the pirate flag on the ship. 4. Rape. The spectator stuttered and shouted, which attracted the attention of the people around him. What's wrong, brother? Are you drunk? I think you should go back and take a rest first, ha 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 ha. If you can't drink so much, don't drink. It's really embarrassing, ha 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 ha. The people around him were laughing at him, completely unaware of the other person's shocked expression. It's the 4 Emperors. That 4 Emperors Golden Lion 2, Xia Luo came to Gulen Tesoro. The spectator shouted loudly, pointing his finger at the Longyu below. Everyone was stunned for a moment, and saw the ship in the direction he pointed. When they saw the flag hanging on the ship, a chill suddenly ran up their backs. 200 We will take care of everything. 4 Emperors, why would such a big shot be here?
It's not good. There won't be any trouble here, right? What if 4 Emperors Xia Luo and Tetsulo fight?
The arrival of Xia Luo broke their happy atmosphere, and everyone began to worry about why Xia Luo came.
Generally, characters of the 4 Emperors level would not leave their own territory at will. As for having fun, the 4 Emperors, who are extremely powerful, do not need to go to other people's territory to play. They have such places in their own territory, and they also have their own entertainment methods.
So they guessed what purpose Xia Luo had here. Everyone, please rest assured, we will take care of everything. Mr. Tanaka emerged from the ground with a calm face to calm these people's emotions. The audience seemed to be infected by his calm expression and suddenly no longer worried. Yes, this is Gulen Tesoro, and even the world government prohibits force here. Even the 4 Emperors need to abide by the rules here, right? One of them said with a forced smile while sweating coldly. His words seemed to give others around him confidence, and they immediately stopped panicking. Next, the Longyu did not make any unusual movements, but docked very normally. At this time, everyone's worries were really relieved. It was great that there was no conflict. Xia Luo and his party entered the port. What comes into view is the magnificent hall, where countless Tezolo statues made of gold are placed. Everything around it is also made of gold. But no one dares to peek at the gold here.
The ground was also made of pure gold, with a red carpet laid on it, and people walked on the red carpet. The surrounding crowd looked at Xia Luo and others with curious eyes. It's really because they are too conspicuous. Beautiful mermaids, exotic fur tribes, and beauties of all kinds. More people were attracted by Hancock's beauty, but when they saw the pirate flag on the big ship, they all showed deep fear in their eyes. Xia Luo, I also want to make a statue as big as this, no, bigger than this.
Nami's eyes were shining with golden light, and she said with a yearning look on her face. Sister Nami, please pay attention to your manners. Kaya reminded quietly from the side. What does it matter? We are no longer what we used to be. We don't need to care about these people's opinions anymore. With a playful smile on her face, Nami took Kaya's hand and started to walk forward. Hey, walk slower, Nami-san. Kaya was staggered by Nami, and then quickened her pace to be shoulder to shoulder with her. Let's go too, Xia Luo said to the girls beside her, and then slowly followed Nami's footsteps. Not far away, they stopped again. Because it is in the middle of the passage into the city. A red-haired woman was standing in front of them. Everyone else deliberately avoided Xia Luo's side, so there was no one else in this passage except her. The red-haired woman is wearing a black striped backless long skirt with slits on the sides to her waist. However, no matter how the wind blows, the long skirt will always cover up some parts of the picture, forming an absolute realm. The most horrifying thing is that its chest is even more majestic than Nami and others. Coupled with her confident and calm smile from beginning to end, her charm is even more outstanding. Era, you are the legendary 4 Emperors Xia Luo pirates. First time meeting you. I am Baccarat, the exclusive MIP receptionist of this city. The red-haired woman came up with a friendly smile on her face and introduced herself to Xia Luo and others. Oh, it's my first time here, and I didn't expect that I'm still a VIP member here. That's of course. When Sir Xia Luo was still in the first half of the career, your deeds had already spread throughout the new world. We have already included Sir Xia Luo in the VIP list. Baccarat spoke in a CC tone with an exaggerated expression. Speaking of which, I've heard of Mr. Xia Luo for a long time. Today is the first time I've seen your true face. It's just like the one in the newspaper. You are very handsome. Master Xia Luo is now rated as the most handsome pirate in the sea, the most powerful man, and the person closest to the throne of the Pirate King. Now the people in the sea use your name as the name of this era. Baccarat stepped forward, put his arms around Xia Luo's arms, and said in a flattering tone. Oh, so I'm so famous now. That this era is actually named after me. It's interesting. Xia Luo said in a slightly surprised tone. Since Whitebeard's death, his era has ended. But I didn't expect that the new era would be named after him, and so quickly. Is it because of my defeat of Kaido some time ago? People on the sea probably think of me as the new generation of Pirate King.
Everyone probably thought it was just a matter of time, but it was indeed the case. Yes, I am also a fan of Mr. Xia Luo. Can Mr. Xia Luo sign an autograph for me later? I will be very happy. Baccarat rubbed it hard, with a seductive look on her face, and said. Xia Luo's hobbies are no longer a secret, and Baccarat knows what to do to please Xia Luo faster. Signatures are just minor issues. Where should I sign?
Xia Luo took his hands out of her arms and hugged her waist directly, feeling her smooth back. They are all delivered to your door. There are bargains, but isn't that stupid? Of course you won't refuse if you make the next offer. Of course it's here. Baccarat snorted proudly, then pulled her collar, revealing her pure white heart, and her eyes were as bright as silk. But just after she finished speaking, a wave of malice came from behind him. Baccarat had never felt such pure malice, so she trembled subconsciously and leaned against Xia Luo. She turned her head and looked. Hancock's face was dark and ferocious, and he wanted to tear her into pieces. This is the Pirate Empress, Master Hancock. I was completely focused on Master Xia Luo just now, and I neglected you for a moment. Please forgive me for my rudeness. Baccarat put her right hand on her chest, showed a forced smile, and said. Hancock put too much pressure on her, and she always felt that even if she took out all the luck from the other party, she would still be easily killed by him. Is this the power of the Pirate Empress? It's really terrifying. I don't know how terrifying the strength of the man in front of me will be.
Baccarat sighed secretly in her heart. There is still a gap between Shichibukai and Four Emperors. Although Shichibukai can be regarded as a famous pirate in the New World, it is far behind Four Emperors. 201 Golden King Hotel. A mere outsider, how long do you want to hold Master Xia Luo? The curved corners of her mouth and her uncontrollable anger certainly did not mean that the Pirate Empress in front of her was angry. But what was even more strange to Baccarat was that Hancock actually called Xia Luo, sir. She originally thought that the two of them had a cooperative relationship, but it didn't seem to be the case. For a moment, Baccarat didn't know how to deal with the angry Hancock. In the end, it was Xia Luo who took action. Okay, Hancock, Baccarat is here to receive us no matter what. Don't be angry over this little thing. Xia Luo took Hancock's hand and pulled her over. It's Mr. Xia Luo. Hancock's eyes sparkled with love and he nodded quickly in response. Baccarat was dumbfounded by this look. The dignified Pirate Empress actually behaves like a licking dog. Who would believe it? Master Xia Luo, please come this way. After a few seconds, Baccarat came back to her senses and quickly bowed in an inviting gesture. There were quite a few people coming to Xia Luo, so Baccarat directly arranged several cars to pick them up. In particular, the mermaid princess Shirahoshi also specially arranged special large-sized vehicles. Otherwise, there would be no room for Shirahoshi. The car drove to the commercial street, and Baccarat took Xia Luo and others to a clothing store. Countless gifts have been prepared here early, some big and some small. It is provided for these big shots to change their clothes. Of course, it is completely fine for Xia Luo and the others if they don't want to change. Wow, are these all provided to us for free? This one looks good, this one is also very good. Nami's eyes sparkled, and she started shopping. She couldn't wait to try on the clothes here. Well, these are all arranged by Mr. Tezzolo. They are all provided to you for free. You can wear whatever you want. It's no problem to take them all away. Baccarat explained with a smile. In that case, I won't be polite. After that, Nami packed all the clothes directly. Even becoming stronger and richer can't change her desire to have sex for free. When she landed on this island and saw this golden city, her thief soul was burning, and she wanted to steal everything here. However, since they still wanted to play here for a few days, they made arrangements for this theft. There is no right to steal now, but you can have sex for free. How can you make her unhappy? Hey, Lord Baccarat. The clerks looked at each other, not knowing what to do for a while. Didn't you hear what I just said? Everything here is arranged by Master Tezzolo, and all the purchases made by Master Tezzolo and others are considered free. Baccarat squinted her eyes, put on a harmonious smile, and said in a calm tone. Yes, Lord Baccarat. Immediately, these clerks were frightened, straightened their backs and shouted loudly. Then everyone changed into the dresses here, all wearing white suits and formal dresses. Even Xia Luo changed into other clothes after a long absence. As expected of Mr. Xia Luo, you look so handsome in your suit. Baccarat still used a flattering tone, praising Xia Luo's handsomeness. Indeed, I can't tell. I didn't expect you to fit so well in a suit, just like a princess from some big country. Nami also had a surprised expression. Sure enough, a good-looking face is just like a clothes hanger, and it doesn't feel out of place no matter what you wear. Nami stepped forward and tidied his collar affectionately, like a wife sending her husband off. It's rare to change into formal clothes, so you have to pay attention to your image. Nami helped him turn over his collar, then winked playfully and said with a smile. Sorry to bother you. Xia Luo's eyes were full of tenderness and she caressed Nami's hair. Hancock on the other side was biting his sleeve, with a look of reluctance and envy on his face. What a beautiful picture, it would be great if Nami was in her place. Although it was not her in reality, Hancock had already imagined in his mind that he was fixing Xia Luo's collar. Then the scene of Xia Luo's tender kiss appeared. Ah, Mr. Xia Luo. Hancock collapsed on the ground, put the back of his right hand on his forehead, and murmured with a flushed face. The girls smiled knowingly and were not surprised by this. Hancock's brainstorming ability was always outstanding. Let's go to the entertainment city next. Seeing that Xia Luo and Nami had finished their tenderness, Baccarat immediately clapped her hands to attract everyone's attention, and then spoke slowly. The turtle rickshaw once again carried Xia Luo and his party to a high tower. Wow, that's amazing. Is this all made of gold? It's so tall, it's all shiny gold. Nami raised his head in surprise and looked at the most conspicuous building in the city, the entertainment city. The spotlight shines on the tower, and the giant tower made of gold emits an even more dazzling golden light. This is the entertainment city. It is the world's only 8-star hotel that the Gulen Tesoro is most proud of, the Golden King Hotel. Baccarat looked proud as she introduced the hotel to Xia Luo and others. Entering the interior, the decoration inside is basically all gold, and there is a huge golden lamp above the head. There are many entertainment props here, which are no different from a Duke arena, and there is also a fighting arena. It's just that the level of these people is very low, and they are just showing off. Everywhere inside, you can see young and beautiful beauties dressed as bunny girls. They're all waiters hired by Tesoro at high prices to serve the rich nobles and powerful people. Here are 500 million chips, prepared by Lord Tetsolo for you, Lord Xia Luo. Baccarat led several strong men, each of them carrying a box in their hands. When they opened the box, they found that it was full of the largest chips in the place. Master Tetsolo said, Master Xia Luo, all your expenses here will be borne by him. In other words, Mr. Xia Luo, you can play here for free. These chips are prepared for you to use for playing. If they are not enough, I will get them again. If you lose, you don't have to pay any money. If you win, you can take all the money you won with you. Baccarat said with a smile. It comes up to 500 million belly. He is indeed the richest man in the world. His spending is really generous. Xia Luo said with a playful smile, looking at the boxes of chips in front of her. 500 million baileys. Nami had a slightly troubled look on her face. They came to give them 500 million belly and promised to take away all the winnings. This is already treatment at the level of a biological father, right? 202-1 racing car per person. However, this time they came for the purpose of robbery, which made her so embarrassed. Nami felt a little guilty for 3 seconds and then put the guilt behind her. Do you want her not to snatch Tesolo out of guilt? That's impossible. This is an island ship made of pure gold. She has been craving for it for a long time since she came here. In that case, I'm going to have a good time here, don't let me down. Xia Luo smiled and nodded in agreement. This is the largest entertainment venue in the world. You will never be disappointed, Mr. Xia Luo. 17. Hearing this, Baccarat also squinted her eyes and smiled. Xia Luo came to the racing game with a few girls, and they were able to book the venue. Several ladies were divided into groups in 2s and 3s, each with a racing car, and then the racing girl waved the torch in her hand. All the 940 cars started to accelerate together. The first to bear the brunt are the thief duo Karina and Nami. Following closely behind are the dog-licking duo, Boa Hancock and BABY5. Behind them are the duo of Vivi and Kaya, and the duo of Nokagao and Michita. The last one is Perona and Rebecca, who has just joined. Hurry up, weapon girl. I must win first place and make Master Xia Luo look at me with more admiration. Hancock, who was sitting next to the car, shouted anxiously. I know, don't rush me yet. Baby 5 immediately stepped on the accelerator, and the muscle turtles shook the devices in their hands harder. The speed of the car obviously increased a bit, and there was a faint tendency to overtake Nami and the 2 people in front. HMPH, how could I let you succeed? Nami's eyes flashed, and the electric arc slowly appeared in his hand. The metal through the machine was introduced into the body of the muscle turtles, and the thunder and lightning stimulated their muscles. For a time, the strength of the muscle turtles soared, and they shook much harder.
Soon, the advantage returned to Nami's side. Yeah.
Nami and Karina high-fived each other with winner's smiles on their faces. Damn it. You actually used the power of Devil Fruit? The rules do not prohibit players from using any means, which means destroying the opponent's vehicle is also allowed. But Mr. Xia Luo definitely doesn't want to see us attack each other, so can we only start with speed? Hancock bit her lower lip lightly, with a look of reluctance on her face. Then she lowered her head and pondered, thinking about how to surpass Nami and the two. Behind her, Nuo Kagao seemed much more relaxed, a one-handed think tank with a leisurely expression. Mikita didn't care about winning or losing, they just came to experience the thrill of racing. Hey, you can't win a car by accelerating at full speed from the beginning. Muscle Turtle's physical strength is limited. If you don't conserve your physical strength, you will lose the race if you get to the final track. Kaya, look, victory must belong to us. Vivi looked confident and said to Kaya beside her with a smile. Be careful, winning or losing is not important. Kaya responded with a gentle smile. Originally, she didn't want to get on the bus in person. She wanted to watch a few people play from the audience stand.
However, at the invitation of her little sister Vivi, Kaya reluctantly agreed.
In fact, she still has a little expectation in her heart. After all, she has not experienced the entertainment method of the entertainment city since she has been living on a rural island.
Perona and Rebecca at the end of the motorcade were sweating profusely.
Hey duo, this is acceleration, this is deceleration. Perona panicked and operated the car, whether it would be faster or slower.
Hey, is it really okay? Rebecca next to her asked with a worried tone.
Believe me, Rebecca, there will definitely be no problem. After hearing Rebecca's inquiry, Perona immediately showed confidence and her expression was serious. However, the vehicle still moved faster and slower, not as stable as the confidence she showed. I want to get off. Rebecca was already crying in her heart, she shouldn't have agreed to Perona's invitation. She clenched the seat belt on her chest with both hands, and her nervous palms began to sweat. After a period of thinking, Hancock decisively gave up thinking. Listen, turtles, if you can't let me win, then you will all commit suicide. Hancock suddenly pointed at the muscular turtle in front of the car, with a proud look on his face and ordered in a cold tone. Turtle, turtle, when the muscle turtles saw Hancock's arrogant posture, their eyes suddenly glowed with love, and the next second, their bodies seemed to surge with infinite power. The frequency of pressing with both hands also became faster. Hancock's charm can seduce even different races and even animals. The muscle turtles were inspired by Hancock, and they exhausted all the strength of their bodies and pressed hard for power. Suddenly, the speed of the vehicle was not inferior to that of the muscular turtle stimulated by Nami's lightning. Very good. Just take advantage of this momentum and rush to charge in one go. Hancock nodded with satisfaction, then pointed at Nami's vehicle ahead and said awkwardly. Turtle, turtle. The muscular turtle also shouted with great momentum. Haha, that's really interesting. In the audience, Luo also smiled and watched the racing of the people below. Women like Robin, Reiju, and Monet are not very interested in racing games. Everyone, please work hard. Shirahoshi was also cheering and cheering from the audience. Several of them are her sisters. Although they have the best relationship with Nami, they cannot be partial. Xia Luo, who do you hope will win? Suddenly, with a playful expression on his face, Robin asked Xia Luo next to him a fatal question. Xia Luo pretended to lower her head in thought. Others also twitched their ears, seeming to be looking forward to Xia Luo's answer. What's wrong? You haven't thought about it yet? Robin asked with a dark smile on his face. You are all good sisters. Do you need to fight over this? No matter who wins the first prize. Xia Luo rolled her eyes at her and pinched Robin's buttocks as punishment. 5.1 The latter snorted proudly, then shrugged, looking innocent. Robin said that he really just asked out of pure interest and had absolutely no other intentions. On the playing field, the Nami duo led the way in first place, with Hancock in second place. The other three groups of people were separated by a huge distance from the first two groups. They are really a bit too chaotic. Vivi looked at the adults in front of her with a speechless expression. Did you agree that everyone is just here to have fun? Now he looks desperate no matter what. She had sworn before that she believed that the muscle turtle's physical strength would be slowed down in the second half if these people overexhausted them like this. Now it seems that there is no such sign at all. This kind of skill that uses ability to accelerate is simply cheating. She suddenly envied a few people's devil fruit abilities. 203 Nami secretly regretted in her heart. Unfortunately, neither she nor Kaya beside her ate the devil fruit.
It's not that Xia Luo doesn't have it, it's that they don't want to eat it because those abilities are relatively average.
Except for the shock fruit that Xia Luo got back from the auction department, most of the others are zone devil fruit, and looking at the illustrations, they are all common varieties, and the rare paramecia is also common. If you eat it, you won't be able to swim, which will lose a lot of fun, so neither of them prepared to eat the devil fruit, but waited for something better. After all, Nami and Hancock have such strong personalities, it is inevitable that they will fight. Kaya also smiled bitterly. She was indeed worried that something would happen if the two of them rushed so fast. However, with their strength, even if there is an accident, they can escape unscathed. After all, this is just a game, so they can put down their worries. How could it be possible for you to surpass me so easily? Looking at the two Hancocks who were following closely behind, Nami smiled slightly, and a light flowed in her eyes. Sizzle. Lightning flashed out of her hand again. But this time Nami didn't intend to use thunder and lightning to continue to stimulate the muscle turtle's power. She plans to use lightning directly as energy source for this car. This requires extremely high precision operation talent. But for Nami, who has been practicing for a long time and holds the position of navigator, this operability is nothing. Turtle, turtle. The turtles who were trying hard to press the brake lever suddenly felt a light touch in their hands, and then let out a surprised cry.
Their hands had already left the car's brake lever, but it actually started to move on its own, and at an extremely fast speed.
One turtle was almost thrown away by the force because it didn't let go. Call out. The chimney at the rear of the car began to spray blue and white thunder. Xia Luo rubbed her chin and looked at this familiar scene. Why does it feel like the racing game I played when I was a kid? Did it turn on nitro to accelerate? Unexpectedly, Nami developed this ability on the spot. What are you doing? Compared to the calm Nami, Karina was much more panicked. The speed of the car suddenly surged, making it impossible for her to control it for a while. Just rush straight to the finish line. Nami raised his right hand and shouted boldly. In front of them was a deep cave. Can't do it, can't do it, can't do it. It's impossible to see the road if this continues. Karina shook her head wildly and shouted. All the vehicles began to drive into the tunnel, with Nami's speed being the fastest, and the others could only eat her exhaust. Damn it. Can't I just admit defeat? Hancock bit his thumb lightly, with a look of reluctance on his face. Victory belongs to us. Nami shouted happily. When she came out of the tunnel, Karina was dumbfounded. It's a huge sharp turn across the board, and now she couldn't control the car to turn at all, because the speed was too fast. Stop it, Karina shouted anxiously. Nami was also confused when she saw this scene. Protective barrier. Karina decisively raised a huge barrier with one hand. Following the barrier, the car crashed directly through the racing guardrail and flew towards the grass below. In the air, only the shouts of Nami and Karina were left. Hee, it seems that victory is not on your side, so let me win this game with my own hands. Seeing this, Hancock also let out a gloating laugh, with a proud look on his face. Baby 5 skillfully operated the car and made a handsome drift directly through this corner. The other three groups also passed here in an orderly manner. The speed is too fast, it doesn't look like a good thing. Robin held his face with one hand and sighed with a chuckle. Boom. Nami and others' car was directly on the grass under the tunnel. This is a golf course, and there are countless people looking blankly at this car falling from the sky. Click. Nami kicked the car door open and walked out. Why would someone build such a big curve in front of the tunnel? It's so strange. Nami's face looked very ugly. Not only did the victory bonus leave her, but also the 1 million yuan in admission fees left her. How could she not feel sad about this? Although the money was sponsored to them by Tetsolo for free, it was still real money in exchange. This place is too high. Although the barrier can be pulled up, it is impossible to return to the track and pass them, and Karina said with a wry smile, then looked at the muscle turtles in front of the car. These turtles had all rolled their eyes and lay down, obviously fainted by the scene just now. Although Nami's electricity can still be used to control the car, he cannot control the direction of the vehicle at all. If you charge straight up like this, you might even fly out again. HMPH, forget it this time, I will definitely win it back in the next game. Nami was obviously still a little unconvinced. He patted the dust on his body, raised his little head, and said proudly. If I had known better, I would have lowered the power.
Nami secretly regretted it in her heart. The lightning power required by the vehicle just now has almost reached the minimum power she can control.
She usually trains and fights at high speeds, basically pursuing maximum power generation rate and controlling the direction of thunder and lightning. This was the first time she needed to use low power generation, and she was not very good at handling the electricity, which ultimately led to her own fiasco. But speaking of it, the quality of the cars here is really not that good. Even if they fell from such a height of 570 meters, they were not damaged. Nami glanced at the rental car in surprise. Karina's barrier only plays a protective role, but the downward impact from the inside is unavoidable. However, the vehicle was hardly damaged. Is it because Karina's driving skills are too good? I knew something would happen. Vivi grabbed the steering wheel and looked straight ahead, showing a proud smile. Nami-san, Karina-san, will everything be okay? Kaya turned back to the scene of the car accident with worried eyes. It's okay. Sister Nami and the others are one of the best on the ship except for falling, so this height will cause harm to them. Vivi said in a positive tone, comforting Kaya who looked worried. Nuo Kagao still looked at ease, as if he was really here for sightseeing. She was the person who knew Nami best on the ship, so she didn't worry about the other party's problems at all. Perona's group finally figured out the driving skills of a car. At this time, Perona looked at the people in front with a fighting spirit and stepped on the accelerator, intending to pass a few people here to win. There isn't much distance left from the terminal. At this time Vivi has also begun to accelerate. I took the first step and faced high resistance.
Vivi said hello to Nakigao's vehicle when she passed by her.
The latter returned her smile. 204 The two of them woke up from the fantasy time. Immediately afterwards, Perona followed closely and surpassed Nokagao. Victory belongs to me. Hancock's face was ecstatic. She had already fantasized about Xia Luo's compliments to her later. Now is fantasy time. There were also 2 blushes on BABY5's face, and she raised the corners of her mouth to reveal her inner emotions at this time. After passing through 5 consecutive hairpin turns, the rest is a straight track, and the end point is already visible to the naked eye. While the two were immersed in their own fantasies, they did not notice that their speed began to slow down. Vivi behind saw this opportunity and stepped on the accelerator to the bottom on this last straight stretch. The car was rapidly approaching Hancock's position ahead. At this time, the Hancock duo's car had completely stopped on the track, and the muscle turtles were all lying on the car in 4 quarters, with circles in their eyes. They had exhausted all their strength, and eventually they all fainted. Call out. It wasn't until Vivi's car passed by them that the two of them woke up from their fantasy time. Hey, what's going on? Shake it up. Hancock grabbed a powered turtle in front and shouted angrily. But no matter how much she shouted, the muscular turtle remained unmoved, because it had completely fainted now. Hateful. In the end, Hancock could only scream and fell in front of the key track. Perona also looked gloating and secretly happy. Now as long as she surpasses Vivi in front, the victory will belong to her. Now she has stepped on the accelerator to the bottom, which is about the same speed as Vivi, and the distance between them is not much different. I didn't expect that it would be you who would decide the winner in the end, Perona. I thought it would be Nogio. Vivi looked at Perona, who was chasing after her and was on an equal footing with her, and said with a provocative look on her face. Don't underestimate me. I'm a genius. As long as I spend a little time studying things like racing, I can easily get the first place in the world. Perona's eyes were only focused on the key points ahead, exuding a strong fighting spirit. This momentum also infected the muscle turtles in front, so she could shake the brake lever harder. Then let's decide the winner. Both cars rushed straight towards the finish line. Vivi and Perona also gritted their teeth, and their palms began to sweat nervously. Boom. At the last second when the two of them reached the finish line. An afterimage whizzed past them. Because the incident happened suddenly, they only noticed a blue afterimage passing by them. What? There is a master. Who is it? Nami. Vivi opened her mouth wide with a surprised expression on her face. The same goes for Perona. Not far in front of the two of them, Nuochi Gao made a beautiful flick and stopped the car directly in the middle of the road. Sister Nuoki Gao, what did you do? You were clearly behind you just now. The vehicle stopped in front of Nuoki Gao, and Vivi got out of the car and asked in surprise. His hands were still gesticulating. Just now, Nuoki Gao was driving slowly behind, and he suddenly rushed to the finish line. Perona also had a swollen face, looking at the other party angrily and doubtfully. Ahahaha. The use of devil fruit is not prohibited in this competition, right? So I just used a little trick. In response to the two sisters' inquiries, Michida showed her signature laugh and said proudly. After hearing this, the two of them suddenly realized. Michida's fruit ability is light and heavy fruit. She can freely control the weight of the car and make it as light as possible, but the acceleration of the turtle engine will not be eliminated.
The car will rush from behind to the finish line at extremely fast speeds.
Damn it, is it the devil fruit ability again? If I had known, I would have asked Xia Luo to find me a useful devil fruit. Vivi bit her lower lip, her face still a little unwilling. In the end, I lost to devil fruit. Perona let out a strange scream, and a small bump bulged out of anger on the right side of her face. Her little eyes were half-lidded as she stared at Michida. Her fruit abilities didn't help this match at all.
She can't let her blow up her little sisters with ghost bombs.
The last few people returned to the entrance gate together. Nuoki Gao, congratulations, you won this game. Nami jumped forward happily, buried herself directly in her sister's arms and rubbed her. Nuoki Gao also showed a helpless smile and gently stroked her hair. It's just a small competition, don't worry too much, there won't be any rewards if you win, it doesn't matter. I really didn't expect that the winner in the end was Nokagao and you. Michida, your fruit development has been very good during this period.
Xia Luo also walked over and said in surprise, then looked at Michida and praised her.
Michida pressed the brim of her hat and smiled shyly. To celebrate your victory, I can grant you a small request that is not excessive. Xia Luo looked at the two women with soft eyes. Nokagao and Michida are both transparent on the boat, and they usually don't compete with others. Nachgo Gan relied on his own training to continuously improve his cooking skills and became the most skilled chef on the ship. Michida also silently studied her special chocolate in the kitchen because she didn't have anything to do as a lookout. Both of them are girls who are cooks, and they often spend time in the kitchen. As time goes by, the relationship between Nokagao and Michida has become the most familiar sisters. When I heard that Xia Luo could agree to their small request that was not excessive. The two of them looked at each other and saw something in each other's eyes, so they smiled knowingly. Da. The two people wearing formal dresses walked towards Xia Luo very elegantly. Each person holds one arm directly in his arms, then for the next hour, you belong to us. Although Nokagao and Michita won't compete with others for anything, they have this rare opportunity. The two women, Zhao Zhao, still want to spend more time alone with Xia Luo. Then he took Xia Luo and left the group. Woo woo woo, Mr. Xia Luo. Hancock's face was full of envy. If he could win just now, then this opportunity to be alone would be theirs. Next time, I will definitely win. Hancock's eyes gradually became firmer and he swore secretly in his heart. After Xia Luo was dragged away by the two women, she also wandered around the entertainment city. It can only be said that it is the largest entertainment city in the world. It has many entertainment methods that he has never heard of before. The two girls pulled Xia Luo to try one by one. Although they did not know many entertainment methods, they still enjoyed the time with Xia Luo. In the blink of an eye, an hour passed like this. Xia Luo and his gang reunited, and Hanink already looked like he couldn't wait. Without Xia Luo beside her, she was no longer in the mood to play, and spent an hour worrying about gains and losses. 205 Tetsolo is also quite luxurious. The moment she saw Xia Luo, she couldn't bear it anymore and rushed forward to replenish her Xia Luo energy. This huge amusement city is definitely not enough to be played in just one night. Xia Luo had just completed this level, and her chips had almost doubled. They did not use their observation Haki to cheat, they all won by their own luck and skills. There are winners and losers, but the chance of winning is still greater. It can only be said that they all seem to be very lucky. Master Xia Luo, did you enjoy your time tonight? Baccarat appeared in front of several people with a smile on her face. It's not bad. This is indeed the world's largest entertainment city. There are indeed many forms of entertainment that I have never been exposed to before. It's really eye-opening. Xia Luo Kaido. It's good that Sir Xia Luo can have fun. I wonder if Mr. Xia Luo has time to go to the VIP room. Mr. Tetsolo is already waiting for your arrival there. Then she revealed her purpose of coming here. Seeing that Xia Luo has been playing here for a while and won a lot of money, I think my mood will not be much worse. As the owner of this place, Tetsolo naturally had to come and see Xia Luo. Otherwise, Xia Luo would think that she didn't value him, and it would be bad if there was trouble. VIP? What is that? Hearing this, Nami asked curiously.
The VIP room is a special game with high risks and high 547 rewards. If you win, you will be a billionaire. It is a game center specially open for VIPs like you.
Sir Tetsolo heard that Mr. Xia Luo is very welcome to your arrival, and especially waiting for your arrival in the VIP room. It's just that you all seem to be having a great time, so I didn't interrupt your play. Now, does Mr. Xia Luo have time to go to the VIP room to meet Mr. Tetsolo? Baccarat responded to Nami's question with a smile, and then asked Xia Luo again. The words and attitude were enough to let Xia Luo know that Tetsolo valued him. Okay, I happen to be tired from playing, so come and meet the owner here, and then rest here for a night before continuing to play. Xia Luo said casually. Yes, we will prepare a place for you to rest. The location is in this luxurious gold hotel. Please rest assured, people in the next world. Baccarat bowed respectfully and spoke slowly. Then she took the lead and walked towards the golden elevator on this floor. Sir Xia Luo, please come with me. I will take you to the VIP room right now.
Xia Luo and others came to this huge elevator. The size inside is enough to accommodate by CEDB star and everyone.
And it is all made of pure gold, which is really too luxurious. Ding. The elevator stopped at a certain floor, but the elevator door made of pure gold did not open. Please wait for a moment. Baccarat stepped forward and said with a smile. Then she knocked twice on the elevator door. Immediately afterwards, the big-headed doll Tanaka came out from behind the golden elevator door. Welcome, Sir Xia Luo, Sholulu. After Tianzhong passed through the golden gate, he immediately saluted Xia Luo. He is the security chief of this amusement park, Mr. Tanaka. He is a person with the ability to penetrate fruits and can pass through any inorganic object. Baccarat explained Tanaka's identity. Having a demon fruit power specifically for pickup and drop-off is a luxury for Tetsolo. Nami said in surprise. Yes, in addition to ensuring the safety here, I also want to ensure that no thieves or the like sneak into the bed. There is no other way to enter the VIP room and special floors here except for me to bring them in with my ability to penetrate the fruit. Tanaka explained for Nami. Please hold my hand. Baccarat grabbed Tanaka's clothes with one hand, then reached out to Xia Luo and said. Then Tanaka and several people passed through smoothly.
The space inside is huge. After all, the space on each floor here is independent. The open space on the first floor is enough to accommodate many people, and this place is no exception.
The only difference compared to the first floor is that the VIP members here all wear masks on their faces. Everyone is dressed like a capitalist in Xia Luo's impression. In addition to being able to come to such a place, it is estimated that the people here also have a lot of wealth. Xia Luo's arrival also attracted VIP members here. They have been playing here, so they didn't know that such a big shot came to the Golden City. When he saw Xia Luo's face clearly, he immediately broke into a cold sweat. Emperors of the Sea, it is very difficult to see traces of these Emperors of the Sea even in this Gulandazolo. I didn't expect to be met by them today. The VIP room on this floor is no longer simply decorated with gold, but also has other elements added. But it is still so magnificent. In the center there are two strong men who look like sumo wrestlers. They put the dice in their hands in the center. A strong man came out chewing gum. After throwing two huge iron dice into the air, he picked up a huge iron dice cup to catch the dice. The game here is very simple. It's just a matter of guessing the odd or even numbers of the dice, but the rules of the game are also very scary and violent. That means if you win double, if you lose you get nothing. No wonder Baccarat said that the VIP room here is a high risk, high return place. I'm afraid people here also want to get rich overnight and have more wealth before they want to enter this city at any cost. Welcome to Gulam Tesoro. Gilder Tesoro was sitting high on the golden throne. When he saw Xia Luo arriving, he also put down the champagne in his hand, then stood up and slowly walked down from the top. I wonder if you are satisfied with my arrangements tonight? Are you having fun? When Tetsolo came to Xia Luo, he had a friendly smile and greeted him very politely. All consumption is contracted by him, and you can also take away all the winnings. Tetsolo felt that no one would refuse such kindness, and at the same time he was extremely confident in himself. As long as you have enough money, you can control even the four tombs. He was silently smug in his heart. You are Tetsolo. Oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. First time we meet, I am Gilder Tetsolo, the owner of this ship. Tetsolo introduced himself leisurely and confidently, with a confident smile on his face. Well, this is the first time we meet. I am Xia Luo, a pirate who has just arrived in New World. The other party greeted everyone with such a smile. Of course, Xia Luo would not just put on a straight face and said with the same smile. No, Mr. Xia Luo is a bit humble. You are the newly promoted 4 emperors, you are more than just a pirate title. Since you showed your strength during the Marine Summit War, your name has reached a level that everyone in the world knows. Coupled with the fact that you defeated Kaido, who is also a member of the 4 emperors, people in the world have already called you the next generation pirate king.
Ha 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 ha, it's such an honor for me to have the future pirate king here.
Tetsolo knows how to flatter and guide. What will be the result of 206? Specially chosen words to compliment and make Xia Luo feel good. It's just a false reputation from the outside world. None of this changes that I am just a newcomer who has been at sea for 2 years. But I really envy you. You used to take up almost half of my dream of going to sea. Xia Luo shook his head, looking very humble, and sighed with envy after speaking. Oh, didn't you expect that my life can be envied by an emperor of the sea? I still feel very honored. Tetsolo was also surprised. My goal when I first went to sea was to have a huge island ship. It can carry many girls I like on the ship, and it also has money and enjoyment that I can't use up in my life. It can be said that you are the perfect version of what I dreamed of when I first went to sea. Xia Luo also recalled 2 years ago when she was still very young. I made a dream when I first entered the Grand Line with Nami and others. Now, it can be said that he has fulfilled that dream. He no longer needs island boats or anything like that. He already owns islands, and there are thousands of them. Basically, he got most of the women he wanted when he went to sea.
The only regret now is to find pure gold, which can truly keep everyone young and beautiful in this age.
What? Become the pirate king, overthrow the world government and become the king of the world. These are just the branch lines for Xia Luo to go to sea. Xia Luo's main storyline is that she just wants to be with the women she likes forever. It's just that marine and world government are too annoying, so Xia Luo has no choice but to start a branch line to reorganize the world and make it what she wants.
That's really surprising. I didn't expect that the future pirate king would have such a dream when he first went to sea.
Tetsolo said in a surprised tone, and at the same time he felt a little proud in his heart. Even the Emperor of the Sea publicly expressed his envy of himself. Is there anything more worth showing off than this? Taking this opportunity, would you like Mr. Xia Luo to have a bet with me? Tetsolo suddenly issued an invitation and wanted to play 10 games with Xia Ling. Oh, this time it was Xia Luo's turn to be surprised? In this familiar scene, could it be that Tetsolo wants to win back all the chips on his side? Or does he want to win all his money like he did to Luffy, then go into huge debts, and then perform entertainment shows for him? Thinking of this, the corners of Xia Luo's mouth gradually raised. Interesting. Okay. Xia Luo agreed. This was the form of entertainment that really made him find the most interesting. Let me see, Tetsolo, what tricks are you going to play? Hearing that Xia Luo and Tetsolo were having a fight, everyone else present stood up and gave up their seats in a tacit understanding. They all walked up to the second floor to watch this very interesting scene. Okay. Now we are the only 2 left. Let's choose this very simple game of odd and even. Mr. Xia Luo, please sit down too. After clearing the area, Tetsolo directly controlled the golden dragons on the surrounding pillars, and 2 golden sofas appeared in front of him. He walked to one of the sofas and sat down, then invited Xia Luo to sit down with him. Xia Luo walked forward and sat down. Mr. Xia Luo seems to have won a lot just now, but how can this Bailey be worthy of your status? How about I lend you 400 million Bailey and make up 1 billion? As long as I win this one, I will pay you 10 times your stake. Of course, if you lose, I won't let you pay 10 times your bet. After all, I have too much money to spend. How? As soon as he finished talking about the rules, Tetsuo proposed a bet, and also gave Versailles a small hand. This was a bet worth 10 billion, but he didn't even blink. After listening, Xia Luo's smile became even brighter. Coming, sleepy. By going to such great lengths to find a reason to burden him with gambling debts, does this mean he thinks he can't even come up with this little money? It doesn't matter, just play with him. You're the master here, so it's up to you to make the arrangements. I don't care. Xia Luo's calm tone Kaido. Hearing this, Tetsuo's harmful smile just now became even brighter. The two of them just laughed with evil intentions. Mr. Xia Luo, is it single or even? Tetsuo waved his hand and asked Xia Luo to make the choice. Two huge strong men also brought the dice, and the strong man also prepared the dice cup. After another round of operation to cover the dice, he waited for Xia Luo to finish selecting and opened the cup. Pair. Xia Luo said without hesitation, it doesn't matter what he chooses, he mainly wants to see how Taizuo Luo will operate in the future. Da. Sure enough, after he finished his selection, Baccarat, who was originally behind him, stepped forward. As expected of Sir Xia Luo, you are even very good at betting. I, Baccarat, really admire you. She walked to Xia Luo and hugged his arm affectionately. All the girls noticed Baccarat's sudden strange behavior. Sisters like Robin and Reiju can vaguely guess what kind of fruit power Baccarat should be. But, so what? They are not worried about what will happen to Xia Luo at all. If devil fruit alone could defeat Xia Luo, he would have been killed 2 years ago. Xia Luo clearly felt that she seemed to have some ability exerted on her. Is this the power of the lucky fruit? It's worth my special trip to this city, Baccarat. Xia Luo sighed secretly in her heart. Feeling this strange feeling, he didn't know whether he was plagued by bad luck first or the situation. But this world is a world where Haki is rampant. Any ability of devil fruit can be restrained by Haki. 0 even if it is something like luck. As long as his Haki is strong enough, he can eliminate the bad luck caused by the fruit's ability. But he is not prepared to do so at the moment. He wanted to feel Baccarat's ability. Just as he said in his heart just now, he came just for this lucky fruit. Boom. So cool, after the strongman dice made a sound like a madman, the dice cup shattered in response. What will be the result? Everyone said secretly in their hearts. The dice cups were scattered, revealing 2 huge dices inside. The fronts of the 2 dices showed 6 and 6, the 2 largest numbers.
Pair. Strongman dice announced the results. Suddenly, the wealthy businessmen and capitalists on the second floor all showed surprised expressions.
It seems that this result was beyond their expectations. Ha, I lost. Tetsuo laughed heartily at this moment. HMPH, hey, she's such a useful woman, and her abilities are really interesting, isn't she, Tetsuo? At this time, Xia Luo said with great interest. Baccarat beside him was suddenly stunned. Tetsuo was silent for a while, then laughed loudly, then clapped his hands and said slowly.
As expected of the 4 emperors, you can even feel this. This Miss Baccarat is demon fruit power. At this time, Robin stood up and said solemnly.
As expected of a member of the 4 emperors pirate group, his eyes are really vicious. I didn't expect that even his hidden movements could be detected. It's so admirable. 207 Tetsuo nodded with satisfaction. Baccarat stood up and clapped her hands. Now she really admired the people in front of her.
Logically speaking, when her lucky fruit ability is activated, there will be no abnormalities and no one will notice.
But now not only Xia Luo noticed it, but also many crew members on his ship noticed that she used devil fruit. Seeing the surprised expressions on Reiju and others' faces, she understood that she had already been exposed when she just started. I am a person with the ability of the Paramecia devil fruit. I am a lucky person. Everyone I touch will absorb my luck. Immediately afterwards, Baccarat said again. Absorbing luck? That means luck will disappear, right? But Xia Luo still won. In other words, there are other abilities, right? If my guess is correct, you can transfer your luck to other people and make others lucky. 850. Robin thought for 2 seconds and then slowly expressed his guess. Based on only one-sided information, Robin has already guessed the effect of Baccarat's ability, which can be said to be very powerful. If you can obtain the opponent's intelligence before the battle, you will gain a great advantage during the battle and avoid a lot of trouble. Yes, all correct. It's really rare to be able to guess Baccarat's abilities based on this bit of information. Tetsuo also admitted that Baccarat's ability was just as Robin guessed. Then why did you specially give us these 10 billion Baileys? This is what Robin cares about most. No one would give another person money for no reason. Since Tetsuo specially gave it to Xia Luo, it must have some purpose and Robin should take precautions. No, I don't have any ill intentions. As I said before, I already have too much money to use up. But I like to make friends very much. With a strong man like Mr. Xia Luo, of course I hope to make friends with you. I wonder what Mr. Xia Luo thinks. Tetsuo looked at Xia Luo with a kind expression. People who don't know his true identity would think he is some kind of philanthropist. However, no one would believe that he could get to this point in the pirate world without any means. 10 billion is just to make a friend. Mr. Tetsulo is really generous. To be honest, Xia Luo felt a little disappointed. He thought Tetsulo would put on a show for him, and then started saying that on this ship, my rules are the rules. Then there is the iron rule of this city. Those who are deceived in this city are losers. In this way, Xia Luo can teach him what are Xia Luo's rules and what are pirates' rules. But it is a pity that Tetsulo does not have the courage. Presumably, when entering the ship, all the gold powder that Tetsulo scattered was swept away by Xia Luo. Without this innate advantage, Tetsulo has no confidence to compete with Xia Luo. Not to mention that Tezuro's ability has no effect on Xia Luo, because Haki is the root of all those who can restrain abilities. If this 10 billion can make friends like Xia Luo, it's not worth mentioning at all. Tetsulo once again showed Xia Luo what it means to be inhumane. 10 billion is a trivial matter worth mentioning. A small goal is a goal that 99.9% of people cannot achieve. 100 small goals are rarely achieved by people in this world, including most of the wealthy businessmen here now. In fact, Xia Luo is also a small rich man. He owns Shantora, which is known as the Golden Land. Although there is not as much gold there as there is in Tetsulo, the value is equally high. Most of Shandora's golden city is gold-plated, and only some ornaments and golden clocks are pure gold. The gold-plated city was smelted by Enel and all the gold was made into arc proverbs. Xia Luo estimated that this gold could have 1 or 200 billion belly. But it is still inferior to Tetsulo's treasure of 500 billion belly. Moreover, he is still the one who controls 20% of the world's Baileys. You may think that he is more than just the 500 billion Baileys. Friends? I, Xia Luo, also like to make friends the most? Xia Luo smiled lightly and said calmly, it's such an honor to have Mr. Xia Luo as my friend. Tetsulo opened his hands with an exaggerated expression on his face. The people around him also applauded in time. Xia Luo smiled and said nothing, as if by default. In fact, his answer just now was a bit ambiguous. He didn't say that he wanted to be friends with Tetsulo. He just said that he liked to make friends, but the friends he liked to make were female friends. All this is Tetsulo's own opinion, and it has nothing to do with Xia Luo. When the time comes, before he turns his face and says that Xia Luo doesn't care about his friends, he will have good reasons and excuses to sarcastically reply. Xia, Bakara, send our friend, Mr. Xia Luo, back to rest. You must be a little tired after playing for so long. I have arranged the most luxurious suite for you to rest. I think you will be satisfied. Later, Tetsulo ordered Bakara to make arrangements for Xia Luo's accommodation. Yes, Lord Tetsulo. Bakala stood up and paid respect to Kaido. You must serve Mr. Xia Luo well, after all, he is my friend. Tetsulo nodded with satisfaction. After saying goodbye to Xia Luo, Tetsulo left here first, and then Bakara also left this floor with Xia Luo and returned to the elevator. After passing the elevator, Xia Luo felt that she had reached a very high floor and then stopped. Welcome Mr. Xia Luo to the most luxurious suite in our hotel. This is a floor that is only open to celestial dragons. However, there are currently no celestial dragons on the island, so it is of course arranged for distinguished guests like Xia Luo. The elevator door opened, and after passing through a long and narrow corridor, we came to the outside. From here on, there was a circular corridor surrounding it. This floor is entirely made of transparent glass. Through the glass, you can see the night view of the 0.7 islands. It can be said to be the best floor for viewing the scenery. Well, Tetsulo is really thoughtful. Xia Luo also nodded, looking very satisfied. It was within his expectation to receive the same treatment as celestial dragons. Isn't he Xia Luo more important than a small celestial dragons? Then Bakara settled everyone down and took Xia Luo to the largest and most luxurious room on this floor. Xia Luo walked in and saw that it was basically decorated with gold and gemstones, all of which were symbols of status and money. Click. After Xia Luo walked into the room, Bakara also walked in and locked the door. Miss Bakara, what do you mean? Xia Luo turned around and asked with a look of pure confusion. The transformed Shirahoshi. Haha, Your Excellency Xia Luo really loves to joke. Lord Tetsulo ordered me to serve you well, how could you not know?
Bakara chuckled angrily, then leaned forward and drew circles on Xia Luo's chest coquettishly.
Isn't this what Xia Luo likes? Tetsulo has already made arrangements. Originally, he had arranged for other women, but after seeing the women Xia Luo brought with him, he immediately knew that Xia Luo would definitely not like his vulgar fans. But looking at his attitude towards Bakara, Tetsulo felt that Xia Luo was very interested in Bakara. So he specially sent Bakara to serve Xia Luo. Originally, Bakara didn't have to accept this kind of business. After all, she was considered a cadre here. She didn't have to serve the distinguished guests personally. Even the celestial dragons would give Tetsulo a face and not harass her. It can be said that this is the first time she has done this kind of work. The reason why she agreed to come and serve Xia Luo in person was not because of anything else. The main reason was that she wanted Xia Luo's appearance and identity. Both sides have their own agenda, so this is not a loss. But she didn't know that she made a wrong decision and was personally locked up. It wasn't until she thought about it the next day that she wished she hadn't locked the door last night. Maybe she still had a chance to escape. This can be considered an old tradition. Most people only receive Xia Luo's baptism after boarding the ship. Baccarat took the initiative to deliver it to her door, so Xia Luo was helpless. Anyway, he was bound to get Baccarat's lucky fruit. As for the reason, after Xia Luo tried to imprison Devil Fruit with a sea stone, the will of Devil Fruit had reached the point where the fruit would be reborn within the sea stone. He tried it on Whitebeard for the first time, and it was very successful. But then he met other demon fruit powers who didn't know how to live or die. So thinking about the principle of not wasting, Xia Luo beat the guy until he was able to buy Sea Stone Box C with his last breath. When he opened the Sea Stone Box with joy, he found that there was no Devil Fruit inside. He suddenly understood. The law of Devil Fruit's rebirth may be bound by the Sea Stone and can only be reborn inside, but this is not certain. There are probably some other factors inside that have caused the fruit to fail to be reborn inside. This greatly disappointed Xia Luo, and her expectations dropped a lot. If the Devil Fruit cannot be fully controlled, then what's the use of it? But at this moment, he suddenly thought of someone. Yes, that person is Baccarat. As long as a user with the ability of the lucky fruit is lucky enough, can the rebirth of the Devil Fruit be 100% controlled? In addition to having fun, relaxing, and grabbing Tetsulo's money, of course he also has the main purpose of robbing people. He has been coveting Baccarat's lucky fruit for a long time, but because of something else, he has been delaying coming to Tetsulo to find him. Ethereal rules-based abilities that can improve luck are not common. After this battle, Baccarat was completely impressed by Xia Luo. Nothing happened all night. All the girls slept comfortably and had a good sleep. It is indeed a special floor used to entertain celestial dragons. It is indeed the most luxurious level in the world. In the next few days, everyone had a great time here. Especially Runti, this little girl, is almost crazy about playing. She has never gone out to play since she was a child. Even if I go out, I just complete the task. She was still raised by Kaido, not to mention what kind of childhood entertainment Kaido could provide her. Yamato, like her, will inevitably become addicted when exposed to such novel things. They have little interest in some gambling projects, but they do like entertainment-oriented and exciting projects. Especially when I see a place like a fighting arena, I can't wait to go boxing myself.
If Xia Luo hadn't stopped him in time, I'm afraid these people would have been beaten to death by Yamato.
How can an ordinary boxer be Yamato's opponent? It's completely a dimensionality reduction attack. Of course, the girls from the Mermaid Tribe and Garo from the Fur Tribe were also having a lot of fun. This thing was also very novel for them. Most mermaids have longed for the amusement park on the Sabodi archipelago since they were children. But they were all confined to the Fishman Island and could not go out to see them. Only some children in Fishman Street would run to the sea to take a look at the Ferris wheel in the amusement park regardless of the danger. As the largest entertainment city, Yulin Tesoro will of course also have these, but they are more oriented towards children. Master Xia Luo, thank you very much for taking me here, I'm really happy. Shirahoshi showed a happy smile and thanked Xia Luo.
That's right, I'm so happy. The little rabbit Garrett also jumped up and said happily.
As long as you were happy. Xia Luo rubbed Garrett's little head, and the latter had an expression of enjoyment on his face. This makes Shirahoshi very envious. She is relatively large and Xia Luo has never used head touching to kill her. So she was envious of Garrett's petite figure and being able to enjoy Xia Luo's touch.
Xia Luo also seemed to notice that her expression was a little lonely.
So he stepped forward and extended his hand. Shirahoshi quickly understood what he meant, and then lowered his head in anticipation. Xia Luo did not live up to her expectations. He rubbed her head gently for a while, and Shirahoshi showed an even happier smile. Regarding the current situation of Shirahoshi's body shape, Xia Luo is not without solutions. Shirahoshi, do you want to transform into a smaller body and a humanoid form? Xia Luo asked softly. A large body has the advantages of a large body, but more often than not, a small body is more convenient. For example, in many recreational facilities nowadays, Shirahoshi's size cannot fit in and he cannot play well. Master Xia Luo, can you make me look like you? Hearing this, Shirahoshi looked surprised and said in surprise. As soon as Xia Luo said these words, others were shocked. Xia Luo, do you mean you can help Shirahoshi learn your ability to grow bigger and smaller? Mrs. Shirley also asked with a shocked look on her face. Now the only people around Xia Luo are the mermaid girls from the Fishman Island, and Garrett from the Fur Tribe. Because of Garrett's innocent and lovely character, he quickly became friends with the innocent mermaid girls, especially Kami. The two of them got along very well. No, it's not the ability to grow bigger or smaller. How should I put it? Xia Luo scratched her head, not knowing how to explain this to Shirley. The way he turned Shirahoshi back to his small size was the perfect upgraded T-virus he had used before. Drink it. Shirahoshi as described above, this virus can enhance the characteristics of being a person. People in the pirate world are more or less mixed with the blood of other races. These bloodlines will affect some people's body shape, appearance, and even strength. For example, Some humans are not born with normal human body shapes. Some people are also born monsters, with very powerful strength and destructive power. Xia Luo believes that among the mermaids, there must be human blood mixed with it if we take the human characteristics into consideration. Then Shirahoshi will probably become more human-like, and will most likely transform into legs. Anyway, just follow me. With that said, Xia Luo took the lead and walked back to the hotel. After returning to the room, the next step is to take out 10 cans of the perfect T virus from the space. He has already tested this thing on Xiao Ren, and it has no side effects. It can also enhance cell activity and the like, allowing Xiao Ren to return to the state and appearance of his youth. That's it. If you drink this, you may have a normal human body and a special ability. Xia Luo shook the liquid in her hand and handed it to Bai Li. The latter stared curiously at the small tube of blue liquid in her hand. Could such a small thing change her? Wait a minute, Xia Luo, what might you mean? This thing won't have any side effects, right? The keen Mrs. Shirley noticed the key words in Xia Luo's mouth and showed a worried look. Of course, she would not doubt that Xia Luo would harm Shirahoshi. She just wanted to know the price of this special ability, otherwise it would be too counterintuitive. Even the devil fruit has the restriction of not being able to touch the sea stone factor, causing the mermaids to become powerless in the seawater after eating the devil fruit. Lost the ability to swim. It is basically an iron rule that if you get something, you must pay for it with another price. Mrs. Shirley, I believe Master Xia Luo, Shirahoshi said firmly. However, what Xia Luo said next was beyond the expectations of Mrs. Shirley and the other girls. There are no side effects. Maybe this statement is because I am not sure, but I think there is a high probability that it will change. After drinking it, you will gain the power to control objects. Using this ability requires you to consume your energy, and you will feel tired after using it. It can also increase the activity of cells, making you younger. Haha, of course. Shirahoshi will not become younger at this age, it will only keep her appearance at this time, which is the effect of permanent youth. Xia Luo smiled and explained to them the function of the perfect upgraded T virus. Immediately, everyone felt relieved. Suddenly, Mrs. Shirley's eyes turned into vertical pupils and her mouth was like a kitten's. She ran to Xia Luo and hugged him. It's just that a fish with a cat expression is a bit weird, but this is the world of One Piece, and there is even sea kings where cats and fish are combined. Thinking about it this way, it doesn't seem to be weird. Are there a lot of this medicine? Can you give me a tube? Mrs. Shirley stepped forward and asked expectantly. When she reaches the age where she can already be called a lady, there is nothing more attractive than youth, beauty and eternal youth. Even a royal lady like Mrs. Shirley, who is usually very serious and solemn, is the same. Young mermaid girls do not worry about these problems now, but it does not prevent them from also wanting to obtain special abilities and stay young. Master Xia Luo, we want it too. All of a sudden, all the charming mermaid girls flocked to Xia Luo and started acting coquettishly. Okay, this will happen in the future, but not now. I have asked Guy to start researching this medicine. When the finished product is finally produced, it will be available to all of you. The current quantity is too small to allow everyone to have it. Xia Luo showed a helpless smile and coaxed the girls. Then it's decided. Thank you Mr. Xia Luo, moi. After hearing Xia Luo's promise, Yi Shili stopped entangled and kissed Xia Luo on the face. Other mermaid girls also followed suit. After a while, Xia Luo's face was covered with red lipstick marks and the girls chuckled. Is this the only time? Xia Luo touched her cheek and said with a playful expression. The meaning is obvious, this is not enough. Haha, of course it's not just these. When the time comes, we will give Mr. Xia Luo more special rewards. Isoli nodded her lips with a seductive look on her face, while the other girls also laughed coquettishly. Drink it, Shirahoshi. Xia Luo raised her head and signaled Shirahoshi to drink. Yes. Master Xia Luo. After Shirahoshi responded happily, he drank the perfect upgraded T virus in his hand. There doesn't seem to be anything unusual. Ishiri looked at Shirahoshi curiously. She had been drinking for a few seconds, but no one noticed anything unusual about her. How is it? Do you feel anything strange, Princess Shirahoshi? Mrs. Shirley asked with concern. No, wait, Shirahoshi looked at his hands and body and found nothing unusual, he was just halfway through speaking. Suddenly, there was a pain in my body. The pain made her collapse to the ground, with a painful expression on her face. Your Highness Princess Shirahoshi. Mrs. Shirley and the mermaid girls all looked at Shirahoshi with worried eyes. Master Xia Luo, what is going on? Kami asked Xia Luo anxiously. Don't worry, this is just normal. Xia Luo signaled them to be patient. This is the pain caused by the change in body shape. After all, Shirahoshi is so big. Xia Luo's calm expression seemed to be a sedative that made everyone relax. Shirahoshi continued to cry out in pain, but she also changed dramatically. The first is that the huge fish tail begins to slowly transform into legs, and the second is the body shape. Shirahoshi's body size is almost 11 meters, which is not yet her peak state. After all, she is still a 14-year-old girl and is still growing. His huge size began to shrink slowly, which is why Shirahoshi was in pain. She still felt pain from being transformed into such a large body shape. Another 10 minutes passed. Shirahoshi's body shape has also changed to that of a normal girl. Shirahoshi frowned and put his hands on the ground. Since my body has become smaller now, my previous clothes no longer fit me. She is still clean now, it's okay, Shirahoshi. Xia Luo stepped forward and touched her hair with her hand. Shirahoshi was suddenly stunned. Because this time she really felt the big hand on her head. Before, she had almost no feeling due to her body shape. Shirahoshi raised her head, and the scenery that came into her eyes was very different from what she had seen before. Punishment, it's okay, thank you Mr. Xia Luo. Shirahoshi was very confused now, but he quickly reacted. She quickly looked at the people around her, and then looked at her body. The fishtail has disappeared, and the body has shrunk to the same normal size as Kami and the others. It's really getting smaller, Shirahoshi sighed in surprise. That's great. In this way, Princess Shirahoshi can do more things and play more other things she wants to play. The mermaid girls rushed forward to congratulate Shirahoshi for mastering the ability to change his body. They had seen before that Shirahoshi also longed to get on the Ferris wheel. However, due to her large size, she can only choose things that her size can play with. She is more interested in appreciating the happiness of others.
Now she's smaller, which means she can experience it herself.
Well, thank you, Mr. Xia Luo. Shirahoshi nodded to the mermaid girls, and then hugged Xia Luo happily. This is the first time she has given Xia Luo the benefits of facial cleanser in human form. Although his body has shrunk to the size of a normal human, Shirahoshi is still as big as ever where he should be. Okay, why does this look so ridiculous? Kami, please find 133 clothes. You should have skirts, right? Xia Luo struggled out of Shirahoshi's arms with a helpless expression on her face. Then he asked Kami to bring some of his clothes.
Mermaid girls all have similar figures, so Shirahoshi won't look too small if she wears it.
Only then did Shirahoshi react and quickly covered his upper body with his hands. But he seemed to have forgotten that his lower body was completely uncovered. This may also be due to her habit of rarely wearing pants and having a fishtail shape on her lower body. Yes. Kami was stunned for a moment, and when she saw Shirahoshi's performance, she shrugged helplessly and smiled. Soon, she returned to her room and got a set of clothes for Shirahoshi.
Shirahoshi always wore her own clothes, and this was the first time she put on a t-shirt.
She was not used to this feeling of restraint, so she tugged at her clothes with her hands. Her lower body was wearing a light yellow short skirt, which just formed an absolute field. Originally, the skirt of the mermaid tribe had this function. Many mermaids choose not to wear pants or skirts, and if they do, they're just for decoration. Shirahoshi wanted to stand up and try to move around. However, the newly acquired feet made her very unfamiliar, and she could not even walk, the most basic ability of a normal person. When the mermaids reach adulthood, their tails will split and become like two legs. But it's still not a pair of feet, it's just a different kind of fishtail. But now Shirahoshi has real feet, is everything okay? Xia Luo caught Shirahoshi who was about to throw him. Well, it's okay, thank you, Mr. Xia Luo. Isn't Shirahoshi so useless? He managed to transform into a human form and has legs, but he can't even walk normally.
Shirahoshi first thanked Xia Luo, and then looked pitiful.
She was originally a very timid character who blamed herself easily, and she also loved to cry at every turn.
It's just that Xia Luo has always taken good care of her so that she doesn't have that inferiority complex.
But this time, Xia Luo gave her the precious medicine, but he couldn't even take action. Doesn't this make him look useless? It's nothing. It's normal for little Shirahoshi to not get used to the feeling of his legs. This kind of thing just comes with practice. Xia Luo touched his head and comforted him with a smile. But in this case, wouldn't I be able to go out with everyone? It's okay. If you don't mind, it's okay for me to hold little Shirahoshi together during this period. Saying that, Xia Luo hugged Princess Shirahoshi with a playful smile. This is really embarrassing. Does little Shirahoshi feel so shy? It's really strange. This reaction surprised Xia Luo. CEFC, because I don't want the next person to treat me like a child. At this time, Shirahoshi mustered up the courage to shout loudly. This shout seemed to have used up all her courage. After shouting, Shirahoshi turned into a pitiful look again, her eyes filled with tears, and she was barely trembling. If outsiders saw this, they would probably think that Shirahoshi was being bullied by Xia Luo. Hearing this, Xia Luo and others were stunned. Shirahoshi's ability to muster up the courage to shout out loud was beyond their expectations. Because this princess has always been so obedient. Even if he meets the people of his mermaid tribe, he will still treat them as equals. If he talks a little harshly, Shirahoshi will be frightened. Even Kami's sudden expression of surprise can scare Shirahoshi. Therefore, people like Xia Luo will be surprised by Shirahoshi's uncharacteristic performance. HMPH, I finally look like a princess. Mrs. Shirley took a puff of cigarette, then slowly exhaled it, sighing with relief. I have never regarded Shirahoshi as a child. Why do you think so? Xia Luo asked doubtfully. Because, Sir Xia Luo's attitude towards me is completely different from Sister Nami's. Shirahoshi hesitated for a long time, and then gave an unexpected answer. Hee hee ha 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 ha. When everyone heard this, they all started to chuckle. Whoa, what's so funny? Everyone. Seeing everyone laughing, Shirahoshi was so aggrieved that he almost cried. Seeing this, everyone stopped laughing, for fear that Shirahoshi would really shed tears. Nothing. I'm sorry Shirahoshi, I will treat you equally from now on and will not treat you like a child. To make up for it, and to apologize to you, let me teach you how to walk with your legs. Xia Luo's eyes softened. He put down Shirahoshi's legs and put his arms around her waist in a supporting position. Shirahoshi was still a little unaccustomed to it, so he hugged Xia Luo's waist with both hands and leaned on him. Come on, I will help you, and you can get used to the feeling of walking on your legs first. Xia Luo took Shirahoshi and slowly tried to walk. Shirahoshi gradually got used to the uncoordinated legs. Although he walked very slowly and couldn't run, he still made great progress. Master Xia Luo, it turns out you were here. Baccarat has been looking for you for a long time. Huh? Is this Princess Shirahoshi? Everyone who was wandering around the entertainment city suddenly heard the voice of Carla coming from behind. At this time, she was looking at Shirahoshi in Xia Luo's arms with a surprised look on her face. Shirahoshi was still over 10 meters tall before, so why is he so cute now? The most important thing is that Shirahoshi's fishtail has turned into legs, and now she looks like a real human. If it weren't for that childish face, she wouldn't have recognized Shirahoshi. What do you want from me?